pissing, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like pissing, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your chain for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Fucking like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like this, and I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right, shout out to the fam, man. Appreciate y'all being in the live stream like I've been saying for some time now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, but we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fan. Shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all being in the live. Man, listen, man. It's been a really good day of football. Been watching some good football. Yesterday, Tulane was able to get a win over UTSA, the former school of the first-round draft pick bust, Marcus Davenport. The Tulane Greenway was able to clean them up in the matchup as they get ready to head on into the championship round, which I think is against who is it? SMU? No, it's not SMU. I forgot who it is, but it don't matter who it is because we're gonna kick their tail. And of course, LSU finished their season, regular season that is, beating Texas A&M in Death Valley. Jaden Daniels, once again, another fantastic performance by him, leading the way for the Tigers. They got a big victory over Texas A&M, and I really think he's going to hands down. Anybody asks me about the Heisman Trophy, LSU quarterback Jaden Daniels, hand down, is going to get that thing. They're trying to prop up Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr., which are pretty decent quarterbacks, especially Michael Penix. He's a really good quarterback, but this is not their year. Jaden Daniels' numbers are better than what Joe Burrow's numbers was when he ran through it 2019. So shout out to Jaden Daniels and shout out to Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors became LSU's all-time receiver in its history, which was phenomenal. He did that today, hoisting up, it was 183 catches, I think it was, something like that. He became an all-time catch leader for the LSU Tigers. So shout out for him. I'm looking forward to him, hoping Malik gets that Blitnikoff. So you usually have the Heisman and the Blitnikoff winner. So listen, man, if we only had a defense, right? But anyway, enough college talk. Also seen Michigan beat Ohio State. Despite Harbaugh being there, Michigan was able to beat Ohio State today. That was another interesting game as well, as we get ready for the bowl season, man. Bowl season is upon us. So anyway, shout out to the fan. Appreciate each and every last one of your all-world truckers. Say, hey, Q, if DA's first coaching job was the Saints last year, would us, the family base, look at him differently? You would look at him different, okay, because the talking point would then be, well, it's his first year, so he's going to try to figure it out stuff, and you would allot him that time. You would allot him that time, being that he had a prior coaching stint 10 plus years ago, and it went as disastrously as what it went with the Raiders. A lot of people wasn't exactly beating down Dennis Allen's door to be the quarterback, you know? So, I mean, the idea I can understand in concept what they were attempting to do because we was talking about it at the time. In concept, the idea was we give Sean Payton's offense with Pete Carmichael and and all his pieces included to Dennis Allen's defense, and that should be a match made in heaven. Only problem is when you pull Peyton, when Peyton left the building, there are any alpha dogs in the offense. No disrespect to none of those other guys, but from the coaching ranks, there are no alphas there that command or demand respect that can take these guys and point them in the right direction. That's also a attribute that most people have. They have the leadership gene that when they take possession, take control, and they're calm and cool under certain circumstances, and people follow them. That's something that we're lacking here. So we knew when things got topsy-turvy and tough, would the leadership kick in to guide the team through it, and even to a degree when people having having covered or gotten to the level of success that most people would but most people are fair, they would listen to the guy if he knew what he was talking about. But yes, to make it long story short, absolutely it would be different if this is his true first year as a head coach. People, especially the Who Dat Nation, we're incredibly patient. A lot of people like to try to say that we're not patient and overall you got all this kind of stuff. Nah, miss me with all that, man. Because people that talk like that don't remember their history beyond 3 years. They got a mentality where they throw everything out after 3 years. They just purge their mind of information after 3 years. We don't do that at the Great Saint Think Tank. We remember all the way back. In doing that, that gives you a good long view of the trajectory of where your team is headed in their trends over time. When you dispouse throughout all that other history, man, you short sight the hell out of yourself and start talking crazy about this, that, and the third. No, the Who Dat Nation is probably one of the top 5, if not the best, patient franchise or supporters in the entire NFL. No disrespect to the Raiders. They've been very patient, been a long time. Cleveland and all those guys supporting the team. Been very patient and the team hasn't turned it over. But it's a handful of teams out there that have been very patient with their clubs and supported them through the lumps and bumps and bruises. But everybody got a point. Everybody got a line, a tipping point or a line that says enough is enough. Only a fool doesn't know their line or their limits or where they're supposed to stop at. People will just keep emptying their money to them and then get disgusted and frustrated. Well, that's your dumb ass fault. You're supposed to understand a line and know where I'm drawing the line right here until I see a difference. You're supposed to be the same way in your own life. So I can imagine what people's lives look like when they given that type of action, that kind of thought process. They're probably getting messed over left and right, man, by people. It's just amazing. But this is true. It would definitely be a look. Thank you, Our World Trucker, for that. Brother Eric, shout out to you. Doug, shout out to you. Archangel, good to see you. Nolans 504. My boy OG Jerry is in the building. Tough Tiger Production, shout out to you, fam. You are here. You know what I'm talking about. We talking LSU football, so welcome over here. Willie, shout out to you, fam. Appreciate you being in the stream. My boy Gundam's in this thing. Shout out to you, bro. Hope all of you guys have had a tremendous holiday weekend, man. And we are like what, if you're a person that works, you like what, day 3 of day 4, 4 days, just enjoy it and sulk it in. We got the Pelicans tonight, which will be on the Pelican post-game report after 10. We'll open up the phone lines and recap the Pels in the Jazz matchup. The live scoreboard will be on the Pelican post-game report website. We also cover the Pels. I just love Saturdays, man. So much going on. Plus, there's boxing tonight. Boo Boo Andre takes on one of my favorite fighters in David Benavidez. Also, Jose Benavidez, who is actually pretty decent fighter, takes on Charlo tonight. So that'll be an interesting night of boxing. So a lot of great stuff going on tonight, man. You know what I'm saying? All right, Gundam, I agree, bro. He says only betas. Yes. All right, shout out. What's up, Kevin? How you doing, sir? Appreciate you. KB, shout out to my queens out there. Appreciate you as well. All right, my dog, St. Doug. How you doing, sir? Appreciate you. All right, so with that being said, man, what's up, Lee? Shout out to you, Lee. Good to see you, man, in the chat, man. Much love, man. I see you, fam. I see you. All right. He says, what happened to the Clippers? Oh, yeah, bro, it was too damn late. That's what happened. It was too late, brother. Hey, man, it was too late, brother. What's up, Robert? How you doing, brother? Yeah, you know what I was thinking about doing? I said, the hell, man, this what? It was after about time because the game started at 9:30. About time the game was over with, it was almost what? You got through everything. It was almost 1 o'clock in the morning. I probably would have did it by myself, but I was like, you know what? We're gonna just because usually some games, depending on the timing of it, to be honest with you, some games, depending on it, if it was a single game and it didn't have a back-to-back, I would have done a post-game show late. But when they played Friday and then it's a Saturday matchup, I'll usually double dip and I'll do a double recap, put it all together for the next game. And that's pretty much what it was. But shout out to you, All World Trucker, for being checking that out, brother, by by being up on that. All right. All right. Eric says, take as much time as you need, won't help, but appreciate you coming through. Y'all ever heard that old song, I'm Only Human? Y'all remember that? Yeah, I'm Only Human. All right, so shout out, bro. Appreciate you. All right, here's some news and notes, man. Let's get into the Saint talk, man. Saints announced roster moves. And like I said, family, if y'all have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat. Shout out to the fam. Y'all hit the like button and share the show stream, please. Helps us out. All right, so anyway, the Saints announced this today. Saints cornerback Marshawn Lattimore, as we knew, were placed on the injury reserve, and they did have a few announcements that we already knew about, but they kind of made it semi-official by mentioning these are some of the roster moves that's happening prior to the Atlanta Falcons game. Saints have elevated defensive end Jason Pierre-Paul and fullback Adam Prentice to the active roster. So JPP is activated. So is Adam Prentice for whatever reason, but they have activated him and then officially placed Marshawn Lattimore, Laddie Daddy, on the injury reserve along with Michael Thomas. So both those guys got hurt in the same game. Michael got put on the IR earlier in a week, and now Lattimore would join him there for at least 4 games. So we should see these guys hopefully after a month and getting ready for a postseason run. So both Mike and Laddie Daddy are on the IR for at least 4 weeks. So anyway, y'all know about JPP getting activated here. 6'5", 270 from New York in the first round. He was draft pick 15 overall out of South Florida. 179 is the games that he played in his career with 150 starts. And the guys with the Giants, the Bucks, the Ravens, and he's culminated 94.5 sacks over his illustrious career, which ranks 52nd all time in NFL record books. And he still feels like he can give some more. But listen, having JPP in the Saints defense, where it's basically the 25th rank. No, what is it? It's I think it's somewhere. It don't matter. They beyond the 20s or whatever the case may be. They need help from a sack perspective. They need help from a positive pressure perspective, and JPP having him in, which was a smart move by the Saints. Credit them, going and get somebody to create pressure, somebody that you don't have to teach how to rush the passer. JPP knows how to rush the passer. That's what he's been doing his entire career. But we're not expecting JPP of yesteryear, but him coming off the bench as a third situational guy when we still missing Peyton Turner. We still, Isaiah Foskey, the snowman, is still not there. But having JPP, a bona fide 94.5 sack guy, that's the top, almost 50 in terms of having sacks, like we just read, is a big plus to the Saints defense. So hopefully JPP can help create some stuff for the Saints defense from a positive pressure perspective, and hopefully help us get some stuff cracking there, because we really do need some help, fam, on that side of the ball, man. We can't let guys just sit back there and just throw everything. So, and they mentioned Prentice here, and it's not, I don't want to disrespect Prentice, who'll be wearing number 46, but Prentice, I don't really understand how and why Adam Prentice is on this team when Adam Prentice is never used. I've been asking the question for a while. It is never used. He's never used. And when he is used, it's like 1 time or 2 times. And I'm like, is the spot really? It gets to a point where you have to analyze your roster and see if you can improve upon it. Perhaps we can get rid of him. No, kind of move him out and put somebody here that could give us duality, some more value to the offense because they don't use the man. They don't use the man. So maybe we can find somebody that can act as a fullback, that can be like a goal line runner, or even play a little tight end for you if you need somebody that can give you that like use check. That's from from 49ers. And I know there ain't too many of them out there, but I'm pretty sure if you can scour around, you'll find somebody that's better than Adam Prentice. No disrespect to Adam Prentice, but he ain't exactly one of the top 10 fullbacks in the NFL. The Saints barely use him. I think we can do better finding somebody else. Gundam asks the question, 34-year-olds, does he still have gas? Listen, I would say this, Gundam, about him. He wasn't overly used with Baltimore last year. He had like 3 or 4 sacks last year, but you're not asking him to come in as a starter. He's a guy that comes in as a situational passer off the bench to spell guys. And that is a good role for JPP. Not a full-time starter, but a complimentary guy to a Granderson and Cam Jordan. That can be huge, especially bringing JPP here. And then you have these young defensive linemen or defensive ends with all these talents like Isaiah Foskey, the Snowman, and Peyton Turner. These are guys that can learn a little bit from a guy like JPP, who's accomplished. Now, he's not as accomplished as Cam Jordan, but still in all, to have a guy that like JPP here could be a positive benefit because he's not just the edge rusher. JPP also plays the pass too, so you can kind of move him around depending on your imagination. So I still think at that role, he can help us. All World Trucker said one more thing, Q. Is it true that the certain OC and players don't want to play or work under DA? I think at some point we got to give a pass on his Raider tenure because the Raider always sucked here. Well, I think we did give a pass on the Raider stuff. We that's what happened with their organization. We can't really do too much, pertaining to that, after all that didn't happen to him. So I get that. But a lot of people, what they're talking about with Dennis Allen is what he's doing here. And what he's doing here, and at times you forgive him for what he did with the Raiders because that don't impact us. But it actually does if he's doing the boneheaded stuff that he did with the Raiders with the Packers. Then he was a 10-year, like a decade gap between him becoming a coach again, which means did you learn anything in between the time when you were fired from the Raiders and when you was hired by the Saints? And that's how people kind of gauge what's going on with Dennis Allen. Did he learn from this? Did he learn from that? Well, he did have winning streaks here with the Saints, but the thing is, he won more games here than he ever did because this team was way more talented than the teams that he had with the Raiders. So everything is in context. You know what I mean? Everything is in context here. So when you look at a Dennis Allen, I think people are basically looking at him as what he's doing now. When you talk about non-accountability actions, when you talk about backstabby ways, when you talk about confusion, when you talk about inconsistency, when you talk about all that, that's not Raider talk. That's Saint talk because that's happening right now. When you talk about lying and saying you're going to make changes, and then you have a bye week for you to change some things after a humiliating, stupid loss to Minnesota that shouldn't have happened, but yet you don't change anything. There is no changing of offensive coordinators. There's no change anywhere. So what change is he talking about? The only change the Saints are impacted by is the injuries that are players like Lattimore and Thomas, who they have to change anyway because they are not healthy enough to play. So so if you're forced to make those changes because they're injury related, but when it comes down to schematics and personnel that deal with schematics at the coach level, what happened here is no changes. So stop telling us that you're going to make changes. And this is like the second or third time that he's mentioned it. It's just what it is. So, but basically what I'm saying is everything on Dennis Allen is not from his Raider tenure. For a large part, we've pretty much have gotten that out of there. What we're dealing with right now is how the team is performing underneath his guidance, or his lack of guidance, to be more accurate. So, I mean, that's the big thing. But thank you for that, bro. All right. Shout out to the fam. What's up, Marlo? Shout out to Marlo. Philip, how you doing, sir? Appreciate you. Brother John's in this thing. How you doing, Baltimore? Says Q, you ain't know Adam Prentice is DA. It got to be something like that. All right. How you doing, Kai? Shout out to my guy Kai in the building as well. All right. All right. Thank you, Gundam. Appreciate you, man. You know, y'all any questions, throw them in the chat. What's up, dog? How you doing, sir, brother John? And Prom. How you doing, brother Prom? Shout out to you in the building as well. Much love. All right. So anyway, let's move on to the next thing, man. And this is the final injury report the Saints released yesterday. And this was pretty much covering players that's out. We talked about Lattimore being placed on the IR. They mentioned it. Kendre Miller is also out of this game with the ankle issue. Ryan Ramczyk fully practiced Friday after he was shut down and then limited on Thursday. He's dealing with rest, had to rest. He was first not injury related. It was rest. And then there was a knee issue that was in there as well. So Ryan Ramczyk dealing with a knee. Ryan Ramczyk's been off and on the injury list for the last several years. He'll pop up, then disappear, then it'll be rest, then they'll slide a knee issue in there. I'm like, damn, it's like Ramczyk. And prior to them saying rest, I was like, what's going on there with the rest thing? Is he act like the dude is Teron Armstead? He's way younger. You know, what's up with the rest? And then it was a knee issue. So he's been battling some knee issues right there that completely just cut him in half in terms of his production of what he was, man. I don't know what's going on with Ram's knees, but it has really severely, wholly reduced him to, I don't know if I want to say a half of what he was the first 4 years when he came in here and he was beating down everybody, nastily taking he's severely reduced in whatever the hell he was prior to him getting the money. And it's just been a problem. You mentioned Isaiah Foskey was limited and is questionable with the quadriceps. So there go Foskey the Snowman, who's listed as questionable for the matchup. And of course, Blake Grupe popped up on there, but he's fully practiced. He had a groin issue, so he's good to go. All right, from the Falcons' perspective for Hate Week, Mac Hollins, the wide receiver, big wide receiver, was shut down. He was limited in Wednesday's practice, was looking good. Then they just shut him down Thursday and Friday. He must have had kind of went backwards and tweaked that ankle or something. He's out of this game. David Onyemata, who's dealing with ankle issues, he fully practiced Friday. You know that he was not going to miss this game. Tyler Heineke, who's the quarterback when a hamstring was limited, is questionable. We all know that Ritter will be the starting quarterback for the Raiders. D. Alford, the cornerback, fully practiced with an ankle issue as well. And then the really big thing out of Atlanta Falcon camp was what's going on with Young Ho Koo. Shout out to my dog, Big Low, over at Big Low Country, representing the Atlanta Falcons. We had a really good, a good preview breakdown. If y'all didn't get an opportunity to kind of check that out, check out the preview with me and Low. We did it, a couple days ago? But yeah, we kind of covered some stuff, had some fun, talked a little mess. We made a wager. The Saints need to step up and handle their damn business for that wager, because I won't put no Falcon gear on me at all. You get what I'm saying? So the Saints, get up off your ass and defend your boy. All right. So anyway, here's a Young Ho Koo was DMP'd from Wednesday. Then ultimately he was limited, and then he went from limited to fully practiced. So that's some good news right there for them. So he'll be good to go with a back issue. So we'll see how that looks moving forward for the Falcons. It's always good to see them people. I don't really want to see them beat down, because I don't want to see them use that excuse. What's up, Brian? Shout out to you, man. Appreciate y'all being in the stream, brother Prime. Thank you, sir. With the super chat says fire DA or playoffs. I say fire DA. All right, thank you, Prime. Appreciate
I'm
that.
trying to say thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this world.
All right, shout out, bro. What's up, Pammy? Shout out to y'all. Appreciate you, KK. Much love to the queens in here. But yeah, man, I just think we look at the DA situation. The Saints are going to hold on to the guy. You know how they go, Prime. They're going to hold on to him. And then if it and like I said, and I'm gonna say this again, Dennis Allen to me doesn't get fired because he's going to win enough games so they don't fire him. But he's going to win enough games so that you don't get a high pick, like a top 10 first round pick. So he's going to win enough games where you stay relevant, just relevant. You'll never get too far up there or never too low. He's going to win just enough. Why is that? Because him over the team makes the team an up and down team, and an up and down team, they kind of mirror around 500. There'll be a game above, even to the higher degree, might be 2 games above 500. but they'll mill about right around 500, either a game above or a game or 2 games above, somewhere along in there. He gonna win just enough for them not to fire him and for them to make excuses to keep him. Well, why would we get rid of Dennis Allen? And you're gonna hear it, watch at the end of the year. Why would we get rid of Dennis Allen? We won 9 games this year. We won 10 games this year. Last year, we won 7. That's an improvement. We went from 7 to 9. And y'all talk about fire the man. You're gonna hear people talking like that. Happen all the time. Because I done seen this before. We done been, it's like people forget we go that history, that this stuff happens in cycles like nature, man. It's 4 cycles in a year, and things happen. It's a cycle mentality. And people just forget what they say. And I'm sitting up here, all this stuff is recorded. I sit up here year after year to year and hear what people say. They be forgetting what they be saying, and I be remembering what they be saying, but I don't tell them that. I know just who it is. Like, case in point, when we were talking Pelican stuff some years ago, and there was the David Griffin stuff, I was tearing David Griffin up. And I told him, the moment you think they'll fire him, I said, nope. And y'all put one in the chat for my Pelican post-game people that heard me say this. Because this was a couple years ago or a year ago, because I said periodically, I said everybody was wanting to fire Griffin, who was the general manager of the Pelicans. And I said, nope, they will not fire him. Not the general manager. He's the VP, the vice president of basketball operations. General manager is Strange in Langdon. But they were saying, should we fire him? We need to fire him. We need to fire him. I said, nope, because he's going to start winning. And then when he starts winning, y'all going to say that, when I was saying that he needs to do this, he needs to do that, he's at fault. Y'all going to say, why that Q, he winning games now. The same people that said fire him are going to say he winning games right now, Q. Why would you want to fire him? And he turned the team around. David Griffin deserved rewards. He deserved. The same people that were saying fire him forget that they were saying firing, and now they saying why would you? It's crazy stuff in the world, man. Look, Sky, I know. He said, yeah, Q, I remember that shit. Yeah, man, it's crazy. People forget. They might forget what they say, but I'll be remembering. I remember, man. All right. What's up, Chantel? Rush Hour. What's up, Rush Hour? Shout out to you, man. Shout out to you. What's up, Barbara? Shout out to Barbara. Shout out to the Queens, man. The Queens always come out, man. All right. So anyway, let's move on to the next stuff, man. I know y'all anxiously to hear from this gentleman right here, right? I know y'all want to hear from this young fella right here. All right. So Dennis Allen, on his press conference, he previewed the Saints and the Falcons matchup, and was pretty interesting about everything. And I'm going to play a little bit of Dennis Allen, let him play it. And right behind him, we got Pete Carmichael and then Derek Carr. So we're going to play those guys for the family members and let them just get a piece of it. I'm not going to play all of this stuff, obviously, and then I got Arthur Smith, who's there, the Atlanta Falcons guy, who we're going to chime in and hear his thought process on the game. This is hate week between the Saints and the Falcons. This is a big rivalry game. This is the Saints top rival. We going against this team. And it just doesn't feel this week doesn't feel like the weeks before, even though the feel of the energy of this week should be very high, because number one, the Saints sitting on top of the NFC South, right? At 5-5, the Falcons are a game behind them. So the winner takes if Atlanta wins, they take possession of it. If the Saints win, we gain even more ground on Atlanta, which we can kind of bat them down further. And depending on what Tampa Bay do, they can replace Atlanta if they win or lose. But if both lose, then the Saints win. That means the Saints have, a 2-game lead on both of those guys, in the division. So a lot is at stake right here. And usually after the bye week, you have some reflection. You got to turn around and say, hey, man, it's time for us to get on the right path and make stuff pop here. So let's hear what Dennis Allen had to say, man. It's just 3 minutes. We'll go through it and hear what he had to say in this thing. Y'all put one in the chat if y'all can hear.
After the bye week. Good. I think we had a good week of practice. I think our guys are ready to go.
That's where kind of some of the things that Falcons defense has done well under Ryan this year.
Well, I think they've done a lot of good things. They play aggressive, they play hard, they play tough, they're physical. They've been a good tackling team. I think they do some creative stuff in terms of their pressure package, which creates some problems. So I think they're well coached. I think they're extremely disciplined in what they do, and I think Ryan's done a really good job with those guys.
you always go up against people you're familiar with. Is there a unique level of familiarity, almost to the point of having to change up tendencies or anything that you need to make sure they don't know too much?
Yeah, I don't know necessarily that that's the case. There's a lot of things that change from week to week, season to season, game to game. So obviously we understand that they've got a lot of guys over there that are familiar with us, and so we've obviously taken that into account. But there's a lot of things that change.
How much have Caden and David added to their defense?
I think both of those guys have played really well for their they added a ton of new pieces to their defense. Up front, in the secondary, at the linebacker position. So I think it's really it's a it's not a totally new unit, but it's significantly different from what we faced last year.
Dennis, how have you seen Derek specifically attack the bye week and some of the things that he'd like to correct thinking the back half of the season?
Yeah, look, I think he's been extremely focused on, things he's got to improve on. Again, like I said, I think he had a really good week of practice. I think he's focused in on the things that we're trying to do, offensively, from a scheme standpoint. So, I'm excited about watching our guys go out there and play.
Anything about the offense that you're facing that has Cordero Patterson, but even the rookie Deshaun Robinson, but who does he specifically bring that this year?
Well, look, I think they have, a lot of players from a skill position that, present a lot of different challenges. They line up in a lot of different areas. They got a lot of guys that can do a multitude of things. Their backs, Patterson and Robinson, both those guys will line up in the backfield. They'll line up out wide. They'll run, typical kind of running back routes, and yet they'll run, wide receiver routes too. So I think that, along with their receivers, Pitts at tight end, I think all those guys present some challenges. All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. So you heard what Dennis Allen said, man, and he making mention of who is it? Derek Carr. And Derek Carr, him having a good week of practice, and we'll hear from Derek Carr in a second. But what's interesting is we've heard that before, and to be fair with Carr, the guy he's not 100%. So, and really, you could see how things changed for us in Who Dat Nation, man. We were thinking like at around this time, at least a couple months, like at least a month, you start to see something, and you've seen a few things, but it's far and few in between. You see them taking the shots downfield, and they're not been able to connect on some of the deeper throws that you've seen in some of the prior games. And it's kind of frustrating for us to watch the offense struggle as bad as it has been struggling. And it's like we had good weeks of practice, and I hear a lot of that, from Dennis Allen. Like, okay, had a really good week of practice, and and then you get up there, and then the guys are not on the same page. Is it a situation where the Saints are? How can I say it? Is a situation where the Saints are practice warriors, but they're not game warriors? Is that what's going on? Or is it the fact that Dennis Allen is kind of just giving us some BS? It could be a little bit of both. Because I'm like, how is it that they look good in practice, but when when the game starts, guys don't know where they're doing. You got guys running around there, missing passes. Got the quarterback and the wide receivers are not on the same page. The offensive line doesn't look. It looks disjointed. It looks awful. And that's something like when we talk about here, I'm like, how are we doing all this stuff when we talk about, the good week of practice and all this kind of nonsense? And it doesn't look like it on the field is what I'm saying. I don't know. It doesn't look good. It don't look good on the field. It really doesn't. And it don't line up. It doesn't line up. You're right, family. It does not line up. All right. So anyway, let's move on to the next character. Here's this guy right here that's talking offense. Is our offensive coordinator Pete Carmichael. Let's see what he had to say.
All areas. areas, whether we broke up some things with the run game, some things with the pass game, and just really did a deep dive into everything we're doing, see where we can be better, things that we might be doing good, different. Just it gives you a chance to look at it in a whole, and I think it was a good process for us. Got a lot of information and just spend some time just making sure that we improve in a lot of areas.
How in terms of like implementing that into the practice week, how do you think the players responded to it?
Yeah, I think that we had a chance to meet with them when they came back and kind of go through the same things that we found and talk to them about some of the different things that we thought were where we could all be better, starting with the coaches and then some of the things that we're doing and what they're doing.
Pete, kind of too often you get an opportunity as a guy in midseason who probably has pretty familiar knowledge of this offense.
Yeah.
So what kind of benefit, I guess, is that when you're adding a guy like Marquez?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is that you said is that he knows the offense. He knows, where to line up. He knows the schemes. I think that's probably one of the most important things, especially when you're bringing in a guy where, you're 10 weeks into the season, 11 weeks. So to me, the strongest point is that he has the familiarity. And then again, you put him through a workout, make sure that he's in shape and all those things. But we're real comfortable having him back.
And then going up against Ryan, obviously there's a lot of familiarity there with him too, but completely different cast of characters pretty much. So how much like y'all's defense does?
Well, I think that there's there's a lot of familiarity, but there's also his touch on it, his things that he wants to do. So there's obviously things that are different. And when you watch him, obviously you see a team that's playing with a ton of energy, effort, physical. They tackle well. I think they're stout against the run. When you look at the secondary, it's a solid defense, and they're just making plays on the ball. So I think that he's obviously done a great job with them. He's got them playing hard, physical. And like you would expect with Ryan, and obviously clearly a big challenge for us.
Are you guys almost? It seems like you guys have played a lot of teams after the Falcons have played it. So have you gotten a chance to really see a lot of them already this season before even the scouting process began?
Well, I think that oftentimes when you're getting ready to play, maybe somebody that you're not paying attention necessarily to their defense. It might be their offense that's coming through for you to see against the defense you're preparing for. But again, it's obviously a team that's playing well. It's situational football. They're in the tops in the league in red zone, third down. So again, we got our work cut out for us.
Well, with AT, he's obviously a rookie getting into his first action week 9, week 10. Have you seen his confidence kind of grow in training camp?
Yeah, I think the more I thought throughout training camp, you saw a player that got more and more confident. The more opportunities he got, the more familiar he got with the offense. But he's a guy that we have felt good about since the beginning, and it's nice to have him.
Was this bye week especially valuable when it came to working with Derek Carr and getting a chance to kind of review what's working for him, what's not working for him, how you can put him in a better chance to succeed?
Yeah, I think part of what the bye week, as I was saying earlier, just we had an opportunity to really get together as an offensive staff and making sure we covered everything. Whether Doug talked to the run game guys and kind of split up the responsibility and getting the pass game and really going through that whole process for a couple of days and then having an opportunity to visit with not only Derek, but the whole team and just kind of, hey, these are some areas that, starting with the coaches, we got to be better. And then some of the things that we felt like we needed to improve on.
Has there been?
Did we? Okay, this is the first opportunity during the season. And Pete Carmichael speaking about them having an opportunity to sit down and see who's doing what wrong. That means pointing out who's screwing up and how they can fix it. So no changes in terms of Pete Carmichael not calling the plays. He will still be the offensive coordinator, the key play caller. Curry is going to remain in his role. But, and it's still got another couple of minutes left for this interview, the big thing that, because most of the stuff we already know, we've said it before. But in terms of what changes, which was a good question, or the commentary was guiding them in the way, is what could we expect that's different than what we've seen against the Minnesota game? Because that stunk. So we had an opportunity to look everybody over and to say this, that, and the third. So all we can do now is wait to see that what he's talking about, he being Pete Carmichael, about some of the things that they did to overlook all this extra time that they had to go over the film and see who struggled, who was garbage, who was awful, and change this and try to get everybody on the same page. So we're gonna see how it looks against the Falcons. I want to see a win. I want to, and the thing is, I think we're not looking for perfection, but we are looking for consistency. And I think perfection and consistency are not the same, obviously, but we're looking for, if you're the Saints offense, you have, even though when Mike Thomas is out, you still got Kamara, you still got Taysom, you still got Rashid, you still got Chris Olave, you still got Jawan Johnson, you still have, you know, a lot of people. Jimmy Graham is there if you can use him. The Saints have good depth. They still have some serious people there that can still move the offense. Jamal Williams is there. We still have guys that are well paid that should be able to carry the offense forward. So the question I have to you guys is, do you believe Pete Carmichael? Do you believe him? I want to ask that question. Let me ask that to you guys. Do you heard what Carmichael said? Do you guys believe that, you know, not that they did what he said he's going to do, but that it will be a different result? It could very well be. But he's saying that they had an opportunity to point fingers or to fixate on what was the problem, and that they made the corrections. They made it, and these are supposed to be the changes, not the overall changes that we want to see, but these are the changes that will inspire the Saints offense and the team as a whole to improve. Now, don't get me wrong. They will beat the Falcons. It won't be a blowout, but they'll beat the Falcons because this is the nature of the up and down team we're dealing with. They'll lose to the Minnesota Vikings during the bye week. They'll come back off the bye week, beat the Falcons, and struggle against the Lions. That is the up and down nature of the team, because that is the overall energy over the team is Dennis Allen, who's an up and down coach, because he lacks discipline, because he lacks focus, because he lacks vision. He lacks imagination, among other things. That's why the team suffers, because it needs those attributes to be steady. If you got a leader, if you have a leader on your team and the leader is not doing what he's supposed to do, he's not leading with discipline, he's not leading with intelligence and overall all the other stuff that you would need. I'm not saying that he's not intelligent, because he knows how to run a defense, but he lacks severely as being a head coach. He really does. And to me, he hadn't done anything to improve upon that. Not that I've seen. Now, he did bring some guys in that would listen, that would take orders from him easier. Like he brought in a lot of his coaches, which would make life easier for him, because he don't have to do all the stuff like he was doing last year, because, you know, he got his guys, he can trust them more, which made him more relaxed. But then again, maybe that's not a good thing. Maybe you need to be uptight. You don't need to be as comfortable as you need to be, especially when the team is up and down, you know. So, you know, that's what it comes to. And look with the family. Beverly, shout out to Beverly. She says no. Young City Night Wars, no. What's up, Antoinette? Shout out to you. Good to see you. Says no as well. Dave says no. All right. Brian says, I don't believe a damn thing. Those bobbleheads, Pete and Dennis. Yes, indeed. All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. This guy says okay. Not going to repeat that, but I get you. What's up, Dante? Says Q. They're not beating us. Carr, Taysom, bye week improvements, 11. I agree with you. I think I've said it, bro. I didn't bet my dog Low, who represents the Atlanta side of things. Y'all know Low. I bet him that I put on a shirt and broadcast in an Atlanta Falcons shirt or some crap like that, man. You know, so obviously I feel confident that the Saints will beat the Falcons up there, because it's the flow of the team. To a degree, I figured out how they're going to win and lose. Like you lose in the Minnesota game, they come back with focus and intensity and beat the Falcons. But that's the point when I say consistency. When we talk about consistency, fam, I'm talking about consistency. Mean you do the same, the fundamental things, the good things that get you to win week after week after week. It becomes a sticking point in your mindset and in your game. They don't do that, and that's because they're inconsistent. Inconsistent mean they'll go up and down, like the defense knows how to play defense, but will then have half a quarter like it did against the Minnesota Vikings. They don't make the adjustments that they know they're supposed to make. Not because they don't have the personnel to do it, simply because the discipline and the focus is not there. Like, who's telling them, who's getting on their backs for this? And that's not Dennis Allen. You can grab face masks like Tyrann Mathieu and Carl Granderson that hurt the team and still play. You don't get set down. That's not that means that's a coach that is not a disciplined coach. He looked past all that shit. Remember what Elvin Kamara said last year about the Saints, that people was false starting, false starting in practice, and then nobody would say nothing. Remember he said that? I was like, man, listen, man, I know, because this team is not a disciplined team, because the man that's on top of the team is not a disciplined team. You put a guy like Harbaugh or Nick Saban and any of these coaches, like these guys on top of this team, you'll see the Saints snap to it. They'll snap to it, because disciplined coaches are not playing that. Even Coach Payton, what he was doing, Coach Payton wasn't playing with you. And even Cam said we had to walk on eggshells around here, because Coach Payton knew that you had to keep a tight ship. He tried his best to keep a tight ship. And like prior to him leaving and getting bored, because that's pretty much what happened. He got bored and wanted to try it elsewhere. Prior to that, he used to bring in motivators to motivate the team so his message didn't get stale. He was doing a lot of really positive stuff before he lost his way toward the back end of his career here. But anyway, the issue is discipline. The issue is focus. You can't have focus or keep focus without discipline. And then you need to have a guy that preaches discipline and comes from a disciplined background. This guy does not. That's why the team operates up and down wise. They can't sustain the positive stuff that they do from week to week. They tear a team up and then go right back to what they would do. They go back to the flawed philosophies game after game, like they have amnesia. We had enough of this to know that a lot of that is tied to the fact that the team doesn't have consistent discipline. They'll show discipline and edge in this Falcons game because it's a rival. But what happens against Detroit? Well, we got to go one game at a time, Q. But I'm telling you straight up and down, man, this is just the moniker of this team. Mulder says, hold up, Q. I'm not sure Dennis and Carr can beat the Falcons. I must say they are, bro. I bet low in the Atlanta Falcons supporters that they would, man. So I'm gonna rock with it. I think they do get the W here, bro. Now against the Lions, that's a whole nother matter. Don't hold me. I'm not gonna bet no Lion person. The Lions coming off a Thanksgiving loss to the Green Bay Packers, a team we should have beat. We was up 17-0 and let them score 18 points in 11 minutes. But the Packers are scrappy, and they beat the Lions. The Lions are pissed. They're gonna come in, they're gonna come into the dome. They're gonna be upset and they're gonna want to try to, hammer you down. And we'll see how the Saints. The Saints don't play good teams well, especially teams that that have some gumption. They got some fight in them. We don't usually play those guys that well. So anyway, let's finish up with Pete Carmichael.
Ben, sort of the trial process with a new quarterback. I mean, has that led to some of the sort of stops and starts that the offense has had this season, where you guys are still trying to figure out what works?
I think as we went through the self scout, one of the biggest things I think is our third down numbers haven't been great really at any time. Even some of the games where we came out 50%, when you look at them, there was we felt like we could have been, we should have been better. I think that's one of the main. And then when you have those opportunities to stay on the field, continue drives, I think everybody has more success.
Did you find that some of the things that were working for the run game early in Minnesota before the score got out of hand?
Yeah, I thought
a combination of some changes you had made.
I think we had done a couple things differently, and I felt like in that game until we got into the situation where now we were playing catch up, and all of a sudden the run game was non-existent. I thought we blocked. I thought the O-line played well. I thought they did a good job with the run game. I thought we had a lot of positive in that area.
Yeah, with the Taysom Hill reps.
Let me stop it right there, man. Against the Minnesota Vikings game, man. And we did the film work. That was the Vikings, and I've said this countless times because we have an opportunity to kind of absorb that tape more because of the bye week. The Saints were ridiculous, especially in the first half of the game. And the defense for the Vikings, led by Brian Flores, who was a former candidate the Saints had interviewed, who I thought that, Brian Flores has the same type of potential as what you see happening with the Houston Texans. I forgot the coach down there, the fantastic linebacker. Y'all put him in the chat. I forgot the man's name, but I thought that his type of energy and his intelligence they can have the same type of effect with the Saints. and family members mentioned Eric Bieniemy, and several others who are having some positive stuff right here. But guys like you like a Flores, you like those type of guys like Eric Bieniemy. Often people complain about Bieniemy's discipline, saying that he's too disciplined. So it's very interesting that they did that because they did the Rooney Rule so that the Saints don't do this, and they try to hide it. And how do you then have Eric Bieniemy here for 8 hours, and then you learn a lot about a person if you sit up there talking to them for 8 hours. You're gonna learn a lot, and then turn around and offer them the offensive coordinator positions. The man said no, absolutely not. I'm a head coach. I'm way more accomplished than the guy that you're looking at. I am. I'm more accomplished than I can lead this offense. The people say, "Hey, Q, he couldn't win without Andy Reid." They proved that wrong last year when he was able to have some success outside Andy, which Andy Reid was saying that, man, Eric Bieniemy should be a head coach. Brian Flores should be a head coach. To be real with you, I mean, but the vision, because you got dinosaur leadership, man. That's what it is. When you look at what the 49ers are doing with John Lynch and others, they have more of a different vantage point. Even the Philadelphia Eagles with Howie. A lot of these guys out here, they have young leadership, or that's Mickey Loomis is one of the oldest, if not the oldest, general manager in the league. Mickey Loomis his time is over with. Anytime you sit up here, and even to a degree, you have to be able to go to the coach that you picked and look over his shoulder. And if he's promising changes, you force him to make the changes that he's promising, or else you will piss off the supporters. You will upset the supporters if you promising changes like personnel changes and you don't deliver. So it's about time that he steps in there and kind of does it, but he's not going to do that because a lot of this stuff that's going on with Mickey Loomis is a lot of the stuff that happened over the years was Mickey and Sean Payton. Sean Payton made a lot of people in the Saints building look a lot better than what they actually are. I'm just going to be honest with you. Mickey's fantastic and finagling the cap, and you don't want him to run your pocketbook. He'll put you in debt. But in terms of the funny money rules that the NFL occupies by, we would have, he mastered that, and a lot of people are using that. But that's just about it. We need fresh leadership, and that's why you got a guy that's up there right now, and Kai Hartley should be the guy. Mickey Loomis and sucked up enough time and pass it on to, not him pass on, but pass his job on to Kai Hartley. And if the Saints want to keep him, just create another job for him. Just move him up the chain to something that don't have nothing to do with the general manager. Make him a VP on the Saints side like they did with David Griffin. Make him a vice president. I think he is the vice president. I don't know what he is, but move him on up the chain if you want to keep him. Move him up the chain and make Kai the guy. Because at the end of the day, man, only thing that's going to affect change in the Saints building is we need fresh leadership here. And Miss Benson, she a Southern belle, man. She don't know nothing about no football except how to count that money. And she got Lucia sitting there. He's the man, the businessman. Lucia, how you pronounce the man name, whatever. But the highest mind in terms of football on that side is Mickey. And Mickey's done a lot of great things. I won't take nothing away from Mickey, but Mickey knows, just like we know, it's time, bro. It's time for you to kind of do your thing where you move on out the way and let Kai Hartley run this team, which usually means Kai's going to bring his own coach in here. Kai's going to bring a coach, and they're going to collab together on what quarterback needs to be here. But unfortunately, the Saints tied themselves to Dennis Allen. We don't know the length of the contract with Derek Carr, who's here. So at least they're thinking we got this for the next 4 years. We're still at the midway point of the season. I do like Derek Carr as a quarterback, but I think the dude is banged up. I think he's a lot more banged up than what he is. I'm just going to keep it a buck with you. And I don't like how the Saints offensive line played in the Minnesota game. I don't like it. I don't like how it wasn't like the fact that they would just manhandle a beat. Like Cesar Ruiz, look, he was trash in that game. For most of the game, he was not good. I'm going to just be honest with you. McCoy was missing blocks and, not shedding off of defenders to go and get to the next level. It was just ridiculous. And McCoy looked pathetic in that game, for Lodge. And McCoy is usually a solid dude, but come on, bro. Come on, dude. He was when they set up screens, he wasn't blocking anybody on the screen. So was Hurst. Like, you set up a screen for Elvin Kamara. They had 3 guys in front of Kamara. How did that guy get through to get that? You had 3 freaking guys there because McCoy blew the block. So, I mean, it's like, man, it's, when you get to a point where guys, it's got to be something where guys got to be, because they just collecting. Somebody's got to be there to get these guys together, because you got to play with it, not only passion but intelligence. Like, people say you got to be passionate. Yeah, I get that, but you also have to play with intelligence, man. When you playing football out there, you can't just be, you got to keep your wits about you, and you have to win those matchups one-on-one. And the Saints collectively, from an offensive line standpoint, have been up and down. That's why the running game is not there. And then that falls on Carr, who can't carry the team. And I've been saying that because he don't know enough of the offense to carry the team right now. I'm sorry to say that. People say, nah, Q, he knows. If he knows, he would shows. Put that on a damn shirt. If he knows, then he would shows. But he don't show nothing but inconsistent, because that is what he's exhibiting to you is what he knows, which is not enough. If he knows, then he knows how to put the ball where it belongs. If he knows, then he knows how to span the whole field and not go from left to center or right to center. He would look at the whole field, and he would say, I'm going to bring up this interview, that he mentions it in the interviews, like, man, how did I not see that? How did I not? Because you're not looking over the field. Because what you showing in practice, or whatever you're showing them in practice, you're not doing it in the game unless you practicing garbage. I believe they practice in the way they playing. I believe what Dennis Allen is saying is a lot of lip service, because there's no way you look that good in practice and then when you get to the game, you look like you need practice. It don't work like that. Usually whatever you're doing in practice, you take a lot of it, the positive, into the game. So, I mean, I don't agree with Pete Carmichael, what he's saying here about how the offense looked good and all this kind of, no, they did not. They did not look good, especially the running attack. The offensive line is a problem. And I've been saying that the offensive line is a problem. We need to really look at what we need to do with this offensive line, because Ryan Ramczyk is not who with all of the stuff that's happening with his knees, he is a shell of himself. He's an expensive shell, and we need to take some of that money back or something, man. Ryan Ramczyk, whatever's happening to Ram, and listen, I want him to get healthy, but boy, it has been several years now since the Saints have paid him the money, and he's looked a half of himself. So why are we paying him top 10 offensive line money to be an expensive right tackle when we don't even have a left tackle that's supposed to be over there? We got Andrews Pete playing at left tackle, and Pete's out of here after this year. Hurst is out of here after this year. Who do we got there that we need? And I'm like, I've been saying it for a while. Trevor Penning, first-round draft pick, Saints got him sitting up on the damn bench right now. He not hurt. He's sitting up on the bench. They've lost faith in Trevor Penning, and I told him that from the jump. Don't put him over there. Don't put no rookie at no left tackle position unless it's Orlando Thomas or Tony Buselli or somebody. So Willie Roaf, you know that Penning is not no Willie Roaf or Tony Buselli. When them guys came out of college, you knew what they were. You knew what Orlando, what's his name was, and Willie Roaf and Tony Buselli. You knew what they were coming out of college. You knew that they, like my sons would say, they were him. So, I mean, you knew that. But at the end of the day, Trevor Penning is not any of those guys. And the best guy that's supposed to be over there is Ram, because you're paying them the money. But if you don't put Ram over there, bro, what we need Ram, an expensive right tackle for, and your quarterback's left-handed. The blind side is the left side. And I knew it wasn't going to work, but I just let them go ahead on and do it, because that's how they're stubborn and full of ego and BSing everywhere. They're too close to the pitcher. Then when they toe up, now they won't stash Penning somewhere until injuries force him to come to the limelight. It's a tell. We got to look at this offensive line, because it's a big problem. Outside of just Carr, the offensive line is a major problem. They're not consistently blocking well. They do a better job of blocking. Carr holds the ball too long at times, but they're not consistently running the ball like we would want them to do. All right, so anyway, let's keep it going. Let's go back to Pete Carmichael, close out, then we'll bring up Carr. Here we go.
I could be wrong, but I think since week 2 is the last time that you've seen Taysom Hill with a quarterback rep with Derek on the field. I'm just curious, is that a change? Is that something that's kind of been phased
I think
out?
I just think it can just depend on maybe the scheme or the play. So I don't think that's anything. I guess if you were to look at the statistics and the numbers, you would say a lot of times Derek's been off the field, but it doesn't have to always be that way. That's part of the game plan, and then so there's always you have both in the game plan usually every week, and obviously another thing that the game kind of got in a situation last week where we didn't give him enough opportunities.
And just in terms of like when you do have both of them in the personnel, is it just you get lighter looks from the defense?
I think that there's probably some chances that maybe they make. You'd have to maybe talk to some of the defensive coaches, but I think that there's opportunities where there's times where you might get a little bit something different when Derek's off the field as opposed to maybe having both of them on. And then sometimes, go ahead. No, I was just say sometimes maybe as Derek runs out, they maybe adjust as well to seeing Taysom back there.
I was going to say, how much of a focus has it been to get, I guess, more student plays ready for Taysom? A lot of times, those plays go away whenever you approach Taysom.
Yeah, I think that again, we go into it's not any secret. We go into a lot of game plans with a heavy dose, and sometimes it's an opportunity of just like the game got out of hand a little bit last week, but me also giving him those opportunities.
All right, the game didn't get a little out of hand, man. Boy, these guys can really dial it back a bit. But no, it was foolishness. What happened with the Saints last week, and it's a lot softer on the family members because it was such an awful game where we just collectively tried to force it out of our memories after the week. But it still stings, and it actually stinks more than it actually stings, because what it does do was it showed that the Saints just really beat themselves. And like the Minnesota Vikings, could you imagine the score if Kirk Cousins and Jefferson plays in that game? Could you imagine what the score have been? So, I mean, you take a look at what the Minnesota Vikings did to the Saints with a backup quarterback that they recently got out from a trade scenario, don't even fully realize their playbook, was able to gash him for 250 plus running and throwing the ball like he's Jaden Daniels out there. So, I mean, just a little bit. The defense literally turned itself off in the first quarter and allowed the Vikings to score 24 points or 20, whatever it was. It wasn't enough for them to beat the Saints, because the Saints had this. They would have got hammered if Carr wouldn't have got hurt, because maybe he would have got a lucky touchdown. But the Brian Flores had the Saints completely figured out. They had Derek Carr completely figured out. They were blitzing him. And remember, when they figured out, I made this observation, family, you watched the footage from when we did for Patreon, you could see what happened in the matchup. You could see prior to Carr lifting his leg, right after Carr lifted his leg, the Minnesota Vikings then shifted like a half a second before he snapped the ball. They had his timing down, and Carr did not adjust. He did not throw his timing off. He didn't try to switch things up to throw the Vikings off. And that's how they were able, on several times, able to get in there and cause pressure to force incomplete passes and to disrupt what they had going on. It was an easy pitch and catch that Carr had to Rashid Shaheed off to the left side. All he had to do was put it on him. That would have been a first down catch by Rashid that would have extended the drive. He couldn't do it because the pressure from Jordan Hicks and others came through there directly after right after the snap. They shifted, and he's seen it all. And then he says, I'm gonna play him in a minute. Like, man, how did I miss that? How did I? Like, bro, you missed it, bro, because you're not looking. It's easy. You're not looking. So it's either one or two things going on. There's a disconnect here somewhere. If you can study the film, this is not, and we see Drew Brees doing it. We see Chase Daniel. The damn study the Saints offense is a crowded market now. We got 3 quarterbacks that are former Saints quarterbacks studying film on the Saints. This is a crowded market now. The ultimate one is Drew. You had Chase Daniels having so much success with it. Drew Brees got involved with it. And then you had JT Sullivan, who's a former Saints quarterback. He was nothing but a backup, but he still had some type of familiarity with the Saints game, and he's pretty heady. So you have a crowded industry of people studying what's going on with the Saints offense. And the reason why it's crowded and cluttered like that is because quarterbacks that ran the system are having a problem or an issue determining how a QB-friendly system like the Saints are running with this style of West Coast offense that Derek Carr is struggling so mightily with. Like, well, how is that? Well, he's struggling because he's not seeing the whole damn field. It's simple. It doesn't require you to take classes from Neil deGrasse Tyson. It doesn't require that at all. This is very simple. You look at the film. You can even slow it down if you like to. You can see that he either looks left and then to the center, and then fires, or he looks right into the center and then fires. It's very, I ain't gonna say rarely, but he doesn't do it enough where it has an impact on the game when he spans the field, when he goes through his progressions. If you go through your damn progressions, then you'll see that wide open wide receiver running down at the right side of the field with his hand up in the Minnesota Viking game, and you steadily staring down a guy to the left. You'll see him staring down people. You'll see him going through half-ass progressions. That's what it is. Halfway ass progressions. He's going through half his progressions, and it's not even looking good. It's not even making it count. So I mean, it's just one of those things. It's kind of crazy that you see it, but I'm saying this guy is a 10-year NFL quarterback. The Saints gave a 4-year, $150 million contract to, and I can't believe that I'm looking at a guy with $150 million who's still at this stage of his career. And I'm not disparaging the man. I'm saying the film says it all. It says it all, that he's staring guys down. So what is the disconnect here? Because think about it, put yourself in the position of the QB coach, right? You're talking to Carr. And should I have to tell Carr if I'm his QB coach or his offensive coach? This is how, look, let's role play for a second. Everybody in here is now an offensive coordinator and a QB coach for the New Orleans Saints. You're now standing in front of Derek Carr at practice. What do you tell him? And I'm serious, no jokey jokes and all that. Get your ass, somebody gonna say probably, you pack your shit and leave, you fired. No, none of that. For real. This is for real. This is a for real exercise. I want to know, what do you tell Derek Carr? He's on the screen right now. Look like he just threw a bad pass. That's how he looks. And he stands saying, Coach, I'm sorry, well, Derek, what happened there? Well, see, I kind of did, I looked over here, I threw my arm over here, and then, I went back, and then, I kind of thought about it, I went, and next thing I know that I was, looking over here, and then, I see Michael Thomas sitting over there. He had ice on his knee. I said, wow, I wish I had a Gatorade right now. That was kind of weird that I would think about drinking the Gatorade. He had ice on his knee, but it's all right. So, I looked over to my left, seen Chris Olave, grabbed my phone, FaceTimed him. Don't know why I did that. I could just walk right over to him, but got it. So I mean, it's crazy to me, because at the end of the day, what do you tell Derek Carr if you standing in front of Derek Carr? Seriously, what do you tell him? What do you tell him? Because if you're a professional coach, if it's an offensive coordinator or a passing game coordinator or whatever the title is, and you're the QB coach, do I really have to tell Derek Carr to stop staring people down? Do I really need to? Seriously. The guy, maybe I tell that to a rookie or a first-year guy, but for a guy that been through 10 years work, and I'm not saying 10 years like that's anything, because they had guys that have been in the NFL for 10 years and were mostly backups. This guy played in a lot of minutes and had a lot of stars over the last 10 years. He started a lot of games and played a lot of live reps in games for the last 10 years. Do I really have to tell Derek Carr to not stare receivers down and to go through all of his progressions? Do I really need to say that? Seriously. Do I really have to say that? So I'm gonna put y'all on screen before I play Derek Carr, because Derek Carr is going to admit to missing people on the field, like not throwing at them, but literally not seeing them. At least he's honest about that. But what do you guys, what's up, Abraham? What do you guys say to him? Let me hear what you got to say. Tell me in the chat what you guys think. What would you tell Derek Carr if you was his coach? You're standing in front of him. No smart stuff, but be real with me. Tell me exactly what the hell you would say to him. 504 says, Q, I'm a Who Dat for life, but I got a bad feeling about tomorrow. We will miss Laddie big time, and DA will not change his defensive game plan. He will put the back QB on island at the wrong time. And remember, listen, fam, I'm gonna play Arthur Smith in a minute. And remember, they're not exactly fleet of foot over there, they damn selves. And I'm gonna go through that in a little bit. But what do you guys say? What's up, Gundam? He's seeing butterflies. Yes, indeed. Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I think, I seen Carr, I found him, yeah. And I went back there, seen a butterfly, took a picture, sent it to Chris Olave, Chris said, hey, sent me a picture of a lizard. Said, that's interesting. Never seen a pink lizard before. Yeah. So I took a picture back. Yeah. Got a butterfly, painted on its wings, sent it to him. Florida Lee said, that's cool. Send that to Elvin Kamara. I sent it to Elvin Kamara. Yeah. 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 No. Don, what's up, Don? He said, I got Drew Brees to critique him. Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea we bring the dude in. And say, Doug, he said, you got him, Q. It don't take me long, fam, before I do, bro. You listen to these people for a long time, man. You pick up the stuff, man. What can I tell you, brother? I'll be here listening to them for so long, man, that I get all their cadences down and how they talk and how they speak. And I don't mean to emulate them, man, but it just gets to a point when it gets on my nerves. Don says, I'll get Drew to talk to him. All right. Antoinette says, used car. Used car sale. It never gets old. All right. The Vilco says, can you give us some money, Mac? Because it dropped it. Okay. Okay. Robert says, I will say to Carr, sit your, oh, see, there you go. Sit down on the bench. See, I said, we don't need that commentary, brother. What do we need to do? I want serious takers. Y'all tell me now. Okay, Slim. Okay, Slim says you need to make quicker decisions. Thank you, Slim. Appreciate that, bro. All right, Don says wipe the eyeliner off. You're wrong, bro. You're wrong.
Hey, bro, come on,
bro.
dog.
Come on.
Come on, man.
Come on, Don, bro. Why you saying that, brother? The man don't have no eyeliner on, man. You don't have. Oh man, cut it off, bro. The man don't have no eyeliner on, bro. You wrong for that, Don. You wrong, bro. Oh, that was terrible, Don, man. You wrong for that, brother. Ava says Saints do well versus pocket passes. Haven't lost to one this year. I know we played only 3 of them. All right. Bling says Drew can be better with his left hand. Yeah, because he damn sure can't throw with his right arm. We heard about that. All right. Argentine Dogo says, Q, are they supposed to win this game? Well, there you have it. They will lose. Oh, well, we hope not, my friend. I don't know. Y'all don't want to see me with no Atlanta Falcon stuff on. Car is not a Mercedes, says Chantel. He's broke. He's a broke down Beetle bug. Okay, there you go. All right. He's a broke down PT Cruiser. Okay, I got you. I got you on that. Okay, guy liner. Okay, it's okay. Batman. Is it really? I never heard of that. Is that the real thing or y'all just messing with me? Y'all just messing with me on this. Is there such thing? I heard of eyeliner. Now, eyeliner could be something, I guess, unisex for whoever into that sort of thing. I didn't know it was called guy liner. Is it for real? Y'all, is that serious? I never heard nothing like that. Powerful Scale says all good player we drafting the QB. I don't know, bro. I don't think we do, man. Is okay. Maybelline has guy liner. Wow. That's crazy. But then again, such is the times. Yeah, guy liner. Yes. I think Pam ain't messing with me. It ain't no real thing, but that's pretty clever though. All right, that's messed up. Yeah, Don, thank you, man. But Don, how do you go say the man got wiped off the eyeliner, dude? Thank you,
I
bro.
want to say thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this world.
Oh man, that's crazy, bro. Marlo said that's crazy. Shout out to you, Don. Appreciate you becoming a member, man. Boy, that was funny, man. That's crazy. All right, so anyway, as we keep going, man, let's keep going. Let's hear from Derek Carr. But like I said, that was the question I was putting before everybody was, if you were standing in front of Carr, and Slim answered it. Slim answered it intelligently. Everybody else kind of joked it off. But, Don kind of joked. Don said, wipe off the eyeliner, and do what that's cold-blooded, brother. But, Slim says, speed it up with the progressions, not with, go through, go look everything, speed it up a bit, which is cool, but I'm saying, like, man, he's an established quarterback in the league, as they were saying. I was like, man, why is it so difficult? Because the Saints offense, and that's why it's so cluttered. Notice like these former NFL quarterbacks got YouTube pages now where they break down different teams, but it's become like a cottage industry to a degree to look at the Saints offense there. And then it's really interesting because the guys that's looking at it, the ultimate is Drew Brees. He mastered the system. Then you have Chase Daniels, who's really good at it. And then JT Sullivan, who played in the same system. It is known throughout league circles as a very QB friendly system. So, Q, how is Carr struggling so bad in the QB? Because he's not doing what he's supposed to do, going through the full progression. And people say, well, Q, he's nervous. I didn't have people to tell me in the comment section, say, Q, he's not comfortable behind that offensive line. And I'll give you that. You're right. If you look at the tape, he doesn't look comfortable. And in some of the progressions, when he does go through the progressions, it's a rushed, unnatural swing in the progression. You know what I'm saying? So he'll look left to right fast and then go back to the left. And you ain't really see anything doing it like that. Like somebody that know when they look at if they're guys, they know where to go with the ball. Some of it's already set up where he knows what he's going. And I'm not talking about those. And that's not all of those when he already knows when he snaps the ball who he's going to. But most of the times you got to adjust. You just can't open, what you looking at. Like if you in the moment, he looks over the defense and see where every guy is lined up. And then he focuses on the ball, where the ball is coming to him from the center. The moment he looks up again, everything could have changed. So you can't say, okay, we're going to just go to that same play. What if the defense adjusted the half a second that you looked at the center waiting for the focusing on the ball so you don't, lose the ball or whatnot. The moment he looks up, everything could have changed. So the guy has to do a lot better in a lot of things, man. And this is why they pay him the big money. You got $150 million to struggle in a QB friendly system it's not a good look. And it's also the injury age. Like Carr is actually hurt. I'm telling you guys that he's hurt worse than what the Saints are saying. They're saying it's his shoulder and and then they talked about his chest and all this kind of stuff. But we seen what happened a couple of games ago when the guy flew past him and popped him on his rib area. He bent over like somebody kicked him. I thought the guy punched him. He got hit and bended over like he was in intense pain. I was like, uh-oh. And then after the game, they mentioned it on the injury report because it showed. I was like, man, no. So I think he's a lot hurter than what the Saints are alluding to, which is affecting his accuracy, which is making him adding to more of the tension, was adding to more of the stuff. And he talks about it in this interview in terms of he's not been dealing with injury. So let's listen to Carr. Y'all put one in the chat if y'all can hear Mr. Carr. Here we go.
One, health-wise, with everything that's been happening and happened in that game, it's been happening. It was good to be able to rest, and that was much needed for my body. I feel the best I've felt in a long time right now. But whenever you don't get that time, it's hard to know where you're at until you have that time, right? So mentally and physically, I think was, for me and for a lot of our guys, very valuable.
Derek, after self-evaluation, what were maybe some of the main focuses for you that you want to correct with 7 games left?
I'm never going to tell you the things I write down. You ask such great questions. You really do. I'm so sorry. But I just always keep things to myself. But there were definitely things that I can say this. Like I would see something, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you get going, and you're like, I can't believe I missed that. Doing it. So there's definitely things to improve on that you see, and hopefully those things come to fruition. With these next games for sure.
Well, what is your level of satisfaction, though, with how the first 10 games have gone for you in this offense?
Well, it's been a roller coaster. At the beginning was up and down, a lot of tough times. Last 5 games were really good. We did a lot of really good things. We started getting better in areas we had to get better, and we were improving. We had 3 drives or so in the Minnesota game. Then I got hurt in the next one. It's like, man, we were just starting to do this. And so it was definitely positive, more positive as you look at it, the things we were doing in the last 5 games, and the cohesiveness, the unity, the timing, the things that we were doing better. I think we were top last 5 weeks, top 5, top 3 offense, in certain areas. And so you look at that and you say, okay, how do we keep doing that? But you have to also go back to the first 5 to make sure you stay on top of making sure that we don't fall back into some traps for overlooking things.
Do y'all believe that? Now listen, I don't listen, man. Let me say something about that, man. My goodness. I don't know what he's talking about in the Minnesota game. They didn't when he was in there, they didn't score a touchdown. They were 3 and out in it. I mean, we were starting to do this, and he makes a gesture like an inclining airplane going up into the sky. No, you weren't. Fam, thank the Most High for a memory. Really do. Thank the Most High for the memory, and I really ask the Most High to continue to improve my memory as I get older, to make it top notch above, add to it a picture memory, give me that too. Throw that in there too. Photographic memory type thing, let that improve. That's one thing. Number 2 is this, man. My goodness. The 2 quarters in the Minnesota Vikings game that Carr was there, and the 2 quarters, the last 2 quarters of the previous game, the Saints hadn't scored an offensive touchdown. They hadn't scored. Fam, go look it up. I remember looking, I'm like, fam, the 2 quarters that Carr was in, the Saints didn't score a touchdown, and the 2 previous quarters in the previous game, prior to the Vikings game, wasn't a touchdown. So it's a full game of no touchdowns. What offense are we talking about here? What are we talking about? Are we going up? No, you're not. And then some of the innovation that they were doing, they didn't consistently do it. Like they mentioned it in the press. That's what I was saying about these people. They forgetting. They don't have collectively, they don't have a good memory. And for those in the position of control, they don't have a good memory either, because they're not remembering what works for this offense. And that's the problem, because they keep going back to things that didn't work. It's too much going on right now in terms of them trying to figure out to filter through what play. They have enough plays that they've experienced over the last several weeks, feel like several years, over the last several weeks to know what works and what doesn't work. Fam, we at middleweight portion of the season. We're going down the line now. So there's plenty of plays that we've seen that these people have done that works. And when the offense stinks and it stymies and it stutters and it gets stuck in the mud, the answer was to jump into the 2-minute offense or the no huddle offense. That was the answer. They did not do that when Carr was in there. They didn't do it. And then when Brian Flores, and I keep telling y'all this because the Ryan Nielsen is going to mimic what the Vikings did against the Saints, especially in the second half, when they would slide right before he snapped the ball and then surprise the Saints linemen when they didn't know who to block. And guys would get in there, they'll cause disruption. They're going to mimic that because the Saints don't do well to adjust. I mean, you're the quarterback. You're supposed to see all of that. That's why you look at the defense to see where they are. And if your offense plays into their defensive hand, you're supposed to audible out of that thing to something else. Sometimes you need to double audible and keep account of what the clock is. It happens. You might have to double audible. You might look at the defense. Oh, no, they come out. No. You might see a guy being impatient, look like he's blitzing at you, and you will point out protections or slide guys and tell them what they need to do. They are relying upon your eyes in many cases because you're the quarterback of the offense. You slide protections. You the one that call what plays have the most success. And some of the times he doesn't do that. He'll call plays that runs right into the defensive hands. We don't make the adjustments. We don't snap. We don't change up what we're doing offensively speaking to throw the defense off. We don't do it. In the Minnesota game, they played right into it. And what throw Minnesota off in the second half is because they had mastered Carr's timing to the point where they had him under locks. When Jameis came in, that completely threw them off because they wasn't prepared for what he was going to do. And it threw them off. And really, if Jameis played under more control, we would have beat the Minnesota Vikings. We had plenty of time and timeouts. We could have won. Well, that's another thing. But what are we doing? What is he talking about? What offense incline is he talking about? The Saints scoring touchdowns, really not periodically, but they'll get a here and then it's 3 drives or 3 possessions that they have the ball before they get another one. You had one time where they had a touchdown, then the next drive they got a touchdown, and then they didn't get it. It was 2 or 3 drives or possessions after the fact before you seen them do anything. Is that consistency? That's not consistency, bro. That's not. They don't consistently do anything well. They can't even run the ball well. And that was something they was supposed to be leaning on, but they don't change up anything. They don't change and shift lineups. Bro, listen, Nick Seldaveri should be playing right now. It's Nick Seldaveri. Really, if he's healthy, let's give him a shot, bro. For real. Because what I'm seeing from the Saints, from their offensive line, man, with these veteran guys that's supposed to be playing together for some time now, is a joke. It's a joke. And it don't make sense for these guys. They've been in that system for years for them to look that bad. That's out there blowing blocks. Even though Carr might not be as accurate or as effective as you would like, how do you explain McCoy missing blocks, or Ruiz looking as bad as he does, or Ramczyk at times getting blown by, or Hurst getting beat, or McCoy getting beat? How do you explain that? Is that also Carr's fault? No, that's not Carr's fault, bro. You can't pin it all on him. It's our shabby offensive line, the inconsistent. But what is this guy talking about? Let's finish this.
Not dealing with that. Was it like a aggravation in your shoulder in the Minnesota game?
Yeah.
Or was that new?
It was not new.
Right.
No, it was just basically the same thing. But to be able to not have to come back on a Wednesday or Thursday and practice and do the workouts that I do and things like that, it was nice to be able to do some other things to help it feel better and have some time to rest. So, it was the shoulder. I don't think would have kept me out.
Yeah.
But it was definitely something.
Did that require any rehab during the bye week? Or was that more just you did the rest?
I was here every day. Yeah, I was here every day getting rehab. I had to, and then plus with the protocol stuff, that I think since my last concussion, I got my rookie year. The protocol has definitely changed, and there's a lot of stuff you have to do. So I was here all week, but it's all right. My kids had school, so it was good.
Hey, Derek, how much do you miss when you miss a guy like Michael Thomas? How do you kind of make up with his productivity?
Yeah, I've always said, whenever you lose a player, it's always next man up in football, but you can't just replace somebody. Someone has to fill that role, but they're going to fill it in a different way, and they're going to be them. They're going to be who they are. And so, while Mike is out, you miss him, you love him to death, you love his tenacity, his work ethic, and his, the violence that he plays with. But it's a great opportunity for other guys to step up, and that's how I got my chance in this league. There was an injury, and I got to play in a preseason game, and I did well, and man, I got to find out who I was. And so it'll be a great opportunity for guys to have an opportunity to play and make a name for themselves while Mike is resting and rehabbing, and hopefully get him back as soon as possible.
When you talk about the protocol changing a bunch in the last 10 years, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, just some of the things they ask you to do. There's different levels and tests you have to take and to clear. I thought it was a lot back then, but even now it's even more strenuous and a lot of detail. They really, you could tell that there's been an emphasis, and since I had my last, concussion protocol or whatever, there's definitely been an emphasis made there to improve that area, and they're doing everything that they can. I would say from the league's point of view and from our team's point of view that they're doing everything they can to make sure that you are safe, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to play football for another 20 years. I got a life to live after this, and they want to make sure that guys are all right. They're there for their families and all this way down the road. And so you appreciate it. It's sometimes frustrating as a player in the moment, but you appreciate it as a husband and as a dad for sure.
I could tell this off top. Derek Carr is going to be straight. I mean, if he does half of what Drew Brees has done over time, the Saints have put 150. They're going to put $150+ million in his pockets, man. I mean, you can damn well believe that his family and his circle is going to be straight for their life. So I definitely agree on that.
Does that make you feel more confident going back out there, knowing that you got through all maybe extra steps?
Oh yeah, and what's I think they put those steps in place for probably guys like me that if it was back then, I would be like, I'm fine. I would have went back out there no matter what, And so you appreciate people taking care of you in that way. There's protocols in place for it. You have to pass them or you can't play. So I definitely feel confident for sure. I'm good.
How perfectly timed was the bye week for you and the team, considering the situation, the physical and mental hurdles already that have gone on this year?
Yeah, I know for me personally, I needed it. And it was great timing. It was great timing. You always want a bye week later in the season. But if you think about it, from training camp on, that's a lot of football. in a row. And it's a grind, and it is what it is, and you get excited about it because that's what you work all off season to do. But you don't know how tired you are, how bad your body feels until you get some time off, and then you feel that next Wednesday practice when you do go out there, how much better you feel and rejuvenated and all that. So I think for me personally, I can speak for that. It was great. I can other guys on the team, talking to them, it was much needed. But we're excited, man. We're we're in first place after everything we've been through and haven't been played perfect on both sides yet. And we feel like, man, if we can just bring that together and let's just see what we can do down the stretch. It's an exciting time for us for sure.
How does that feel? The fact that everything that has gone on has been as good as you wanted it to be, but you're still in first place in the division.
Yeah, I mean, that's the number one goal is to want to win the division, and we have a great challenge this week to try and keep that lead. And they're gonna, we're gonna go into their place in a hostile environment against a really good football team that wants nothing more than to beat us up. And so for us, it's going to take a great game, a physical game, a violent game, and but hopefully coming off this, we're rested, ready to go with the right mindset for this stretch run.
All right. Just a second here, fam. Let me get Marley Mall says, Q, why did they bring Adam Prentice back again? Bro, listen, first of all, thank you for your super chat, bro.
I'm trying to say thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this world.
The thing about Prentice is I don't get the Adam Prentice moves because, and they say, well, he helps out on special teams at times, right? But it's not like if he's not there that we're not going to do well. Our special teams have been pretty solid covering kicks, punt returns and kick returns. The issue is like he's a fullback. He's the only one on the team. We don't use the fullback position very much. And I was asking the question, and yes, he is back. And the reason why is I don't know why they decided to bring him back. Why bring Adam Prentice back? Because remember, we talked about this. They did this for the Minnesota Viking game when he was cleared from the injury reserve. The Saints activated them and they released Keith Kirkwood to do it. Now, A.T. Perry stepped up and he had some positive plays. He caught a touchdown in the game, but A.T. Perry dropped a pass. What was it? Was it a third? I forgot which one. He dropped the pass. I think he missed on another one, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of that Minnesota game, I kind of washed it out. But Keith Kirkwood, some of the plays that were in there, if thrown to Keith Kirkwood would have made some of them plays. So I'm like, okay, if Keith Kirkwood was activated or was on the team, we wouldn't have seen A.T. Perry playing that game. We could, because Keith Kirkwood would have been the next guy in the rotation. So we probably wouldn't have seen much of A.T. Perry, right? And it's good to get a look at A.T. Perry, but Keith Kirkwood is more of a complete wide receiver at this stage of his development. But eventually A.T. will pass him. But that ain't the point. The point is, why would they bring Prentice back, activate Prentice, put Keith Kirkwood on the street, only to bring Keith Kirkwood back and Prentice back because they also then release Prentice again. But they did not use him in the Minnesota game, which was why. Why activate this man and have him on the active roster and don't utilize him? Why? Why are we keeping people that we're not utilizing from week to week? I don't get it. And it's not like Prentice wouldn't be a help with the Saints in the running attack. As shabby as the Saints offensive lineman, is at times, Prentice could be a guy that you utilize to help with the running attack. Wouldn't it be cool to have a guy that can blast out the hole, to take out the linebacker so Elvin Kamara can get there to the second level and perhaps into the third level of the defense? Why would Elvin have to run over the linebacker Jordan Hicks in the Minnesota game and hopefully breaks the tackle to have a chance? Why not have Prentice to do it for him and then Kamara follows him in there? How about doing that with Jamal Williams? Truly using a fullback. If you're going to keep him or have a fullback on your damn team, why not use the fullback some stuff? How about that? I don't understand, family. I don't get it. Why we have a fullback we don't use. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't have an answer for that. It is a complete waste of a spot to have a fullback and you never utilize them and you need them in the running game. We could use that fullback when we run in the football and the Saints do not use him. It's a total waste of a spot. We can bring somebody else in here that can do something with that spot as opposed to save it for an underused fullback that we never use. We never use the guy, or we very seldomly use the guy. And that to me is ridiculous, man. So I don't know why I can't think about, or figure it out, bro. Because I've been asking the questions, and then they released them. I was like, okay, the Saints about to do something, and then they bring them back. So I'm like, bro, what's the plan with this dude? You don't use him. And the truth is, too, Maul, before I get back to Carr, the fact of the matter is, bro, is that they don't have the discipline to utilize a correct game plan. Like if you run in a power I formation, you can, and like I said, the Saints offensive line is so up and down, it's ridiculous. You would need a fullback to help out with your running back. Like take some of the pain off of Kamara and Jamal Williams by utilizing a fullback. At least he takes out the linebacker at the second level, and at least we get to the second level. That's 3-4 yard gain right there. What if he blasts out the hole where Kamara can get to the third level? That's 7-8 plus potential more with Elvin Kamara getting there. He put a move on somebody, he off to the races. But they don't do that, and it's really upsetting because really it's two things in my opinion. It's my humble estimation. Two things. Number one, they don't have the imagination to use him, and they don't have the discipline to consistently use him in ways that would benefit the running attack. To be honest with you, that's my take. Here's Carr again.
You lose Michael Thompson, but you get a little extra time with Mark West Callaway. How was that started out initially with chemistry?
Yeah, he's been great. I've loved being around him. Obviously, the guys all know him from being here previously, but for me, just getting to know him, he's just such a great guy. He's a great practice player. Works really hard, and so when his number is called, I know that he'll be ready for sure. You can see it in his demeanor and his body language for sure.
Derek, being in first, heading off the bye week and into a rivalry, and your first time in this rivalry, do you feel like it does give you guys some juice being in first place and being able to hold on to that heading into this game?
Yeah, and it's I say that to be positive, but at the end of the day, first place right now means nothing. So we understand that. Yes, we are happy about that. Even with not playing perfectly, at the same time, offensively, defensively, but at the same time, we understand the work that needs to be done to keep that. We understand the challenge that lies ahead for us to be able to hold on to that. And so I think a lot of guys spend a lot of time resting, relaxing, getting their minds right, getting their bodies right, to make sure that, first time, this season we play Atlanta, that we're ready to go, because they're a really good football team, well coached, they play hard, great scheme, and great players. So we got to bring it, and so hopefully we're ready to play.
Derek, what are one or two of the most encouraging things that you think you guys did find during that 5-game stretch you were talking about?
Well, I thought some of the things we did, we ran the ball well, especially in that Minnesota game. We started to run the ball well, under center and things like that. I thought that was positive. The passing timing and protection, was better in those last 5 games. I know the offensive line was working hard. I was working hard. The receivers, tight ends, backs, we're all working hard to improve. And everyone always says that you want to play your best football at the end. And hopefully, we keep doing this improving, and it all comes together at the same time, both sides of the ball. Because at the end of the day, all we want to do is win. But I thought those were a couple areas that we started to improve and do things better. Doesn't mean we'll do them better, by just sitting on the couch. But those were things we started to do better, and hopefully that will just continue to improve for sure.
With A.T. Perry entering the season behind.
Man, I need to see. I really need. Let me hit the button on it, fam. Let me hit the button on it. Serious, man. I mean, dude. I mean, seriously, man. That's a lot. It's been we're in deep into the season, man, and this is supposed to be a lot further along than what it is, man. And I'm in my bag with this right now. Man, dude, Barbara said that they done showed us. That's a good one, Barbara. Shout out to you. Asa, how you doing? Says, my thing is, Q, if we sit here and figure this stuff out, then why the hell the so-called professionals coaches can't? Like, we type of coaches do we what kind of coaches do we really have? I know, man, that's all we could do, man. That's all we could do at this point is try to figure it out, because hell, it's like one of them unsolved mysteries. It's like the sheesh. It's like the Kennedy thing, right? JFK thing, right? It's like the JFK thing. It's such a mystery that everybody like, man, how they ain't figured this out yet? And then you go and find out that was, that the stuff, a lot of the stuff that you want to know is sealed until 2050. That show you everything you need to know about what I'm like. Hold on here. Why would that be sealed for 20 to 2050? Well, that puts it all together. That puts it all together for me. So it's a lot of stuff like it's not really a mystery. It's just they're simply not doing it, and it's just ridiculous, man. But let's get back to Carr. Let's finish up.
Behind a bunch of guys in the depth chart. How much have you gotten to work with them one-on-one? Like, is there a kind of tricky balance with figuring out how to get time with some of the guys like on the scout team or practice squad or whatnot?
Yeah, for sure. There's been a couple of guys that were practice team players or new to the team, and the one I can remember most recent for me was Darren Waller. He was a guy that we got off Baltimore's practice squad, and he gets out to practice. I'm like, I should probably spend some extra time with this guy, and I would spend time throwing his rep in the one-on-one or throwing his rep in the routes on air and things like that. And AT was a guy that I got to work with a little bit in the off season, when the OTAs, Mike wasn't in the OTAs, and rehabbing and doing those things, and got to know him a little bit there. And then in training camp, there's days where some guys have rest days and things like that. Well, he was out there and he was playing, and we got to work there, and I got to even just to watch and take in the reps, because how this league is. Everyone, you got to be ready to play at all times. There's a lot of games, a lot of injuries, and so I was paying attention to him, and I think very highly of him. I think that he's going to be a really good player. I think he's young, he's raw, but I'm excited for what he can potentially do for sure.
When you have 6'5" on the outside, does that, I don't know, change, but do you adjust how you kind of read things when okay, he can get up higher than anybody else?
There's some different type of throws you can make for sure. For a guy like AT, I've always had guys that I love to throw to that can go up and get a football. Waller was one. Andre Holmes was another guy I love to throw the ball up to. Crabtree was another guy. These guys that's kind of their style of play. It's always nice to have that. You can't have just 10 of those kind of guys. You want to be able to do different routes and different things. But the thing that impresses me the most with AT is he can play those, but he can drop his hips and run routes too. And at the line of scrimmage, he's really good. Usually bigger guys, they just kind of make one move and go. He's got a release game, and he can play the game. And so there's things that you see in him that, yes, there are things that he can do, but he can also do some of the other stuff that you like that other guys can do too.
You can roll all the way to the left sideline and throw across the field to the right side.
Do I think I'm capable? I'm capable. Do I, in that situation when I've thrown it, probably done the same thing? Will we do that every time? I don't think we'll do that every time. But it was encouraging. It was good. I think my favorite part is that when he was in the game, though, what I can remember when I was in, when I was in there was, his confidence in the huddle. He makes his first NFL catch. Then he comes back and I slapped him. I said, congrats. And he just blacked out. Like he's just ready to play. And I was like, okay, I like this guy a lot. And then we missed on one. And it's a good teaching moment. Like that stuff's going to happen with the young guys. Like, hey man, if you feel this, do this. And he's like, okay. And his demeanor wasn't like, in the head down, all that. His body language was great. He's like, I got you. Next time I'll do it. And so I learned a lot about him just from that little bit of time. But I don't know if I'll do that every time.
Derek, what do you make of going back to the Falcons games and the States and everything that you guys are already in the driver's seat now, but if you win this one, you're more in the driver's seat, or you guys have the odds if you guys win are like 82 or something. Just what do you kind of make of the stakes of everything going?
Well, that's huge. At the end of the day, I've been on a team that had almost little to no odds to make the playoffs, and we did. We had an interim coach, a whole bunch of guys that nobody wanted, and we were able to do it. And so the percentages and all those things don't mean anything until that last week and all the games are over. But for us, the main thing will just be to remain that we can't give in to complacency. When it feels good, when you're doing well, you can't give in to that. You got to be uncomfortable. You got to push. You got to go. because that's what other teams are coming to do. When you're in front, people are coming to get you. And I know that. Even when I've been on teams that weren't in first, you're looking at that team right ahead of you, and you're like, all right, well, they're going to get our best shot, because that's what we got to do. So we can't get complacent. We got to be ready to go.
Oh, yes, indeed. We can't be complacent. We got to be ready to go. Atlanta's up next, man. Atlanta is up next for the Saints. It'll be tomorrow. Matter of fact, we will be starting the broadcast at 11:45 our traditional time. We'll be doing the play-by-play. And like the family members know, I picked the New Orleans Saints to beat the Atlanta Falcons. I think the score was 20-17 or something like that. I don't think it'll be a big blowout. I think we're going to have a bunch of field goals in there, and we will ultimately win it close. It'll be, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 17-14 or 20-17 or even 20-14. But I think the Saints ultimately going to win the game against the Falcons. That's my call on it. Derek Carr, obviously, listen, to just make it clear on Carr, my stance on Carr is I think Carr is a decent quarterback. What's going on with Carr is he's overthinking things. He's hurt where he can't make all of the throws, and they're not telling you the full scoop. They're shooting him up. And he goes out there, passes that are any quarterback, any third string or second string quarterback can make. Carr's not make them because I think he's a lot more injured than what they're hitting on. That plays into your mindset. And I think also a problem is, too, the disconnect that he has with these wide receivers is unbelievable. Like a lot of the not understanding where they're supposed to go. That's not supposed to be happening at the frequency as what it's been happening. The offensive line is a real problem for, especially like getting consistency. They're not playing as well as we expected them to play, obviously, right? But you have guys that have been there for years and they just simply just playing bad off and on. And a lot of that is tied to the fact that nobody's really pressing or pushing these guys. And when they make mistakes, to stay on their backs till they get it right, or basically take their role away from them if they do not perform. They can screw up, they can make mistakes, they can drop passes, they can miss blocks. Nothing happens to them. That has to change. And we know change is not a sticking point for a Dennis Allen-led team because he's, to a lot of things, the dude's blind, he's slow moving, and you got to have vision on it. He doesn't make changes until, like much needed changes, until somebody forces him to, or something really drastic happens where they have no choice but to, and that's not a good sign. And like I said, the team, to me, I think the team ultimately will win more games. It'll hover right above 500 because that's the mindset of the guy over him. He's not a guy big into discipline. He's not a guy to fixing if people screwing up to stay on them or whatnot. You just don't see that accountability. And even though the Saints are a veteran-led team, you still have to have a guy on top of the team to make sure they do what they're supposed to do. Remember, we had a veteran-led team last year, and all it got you was people sitting up here placating and saying, stick with us. And all this, we believe in what they were saying when they end up 7-10, and people were saying, hey, you need to play better. You need to such and such. I was asking, where was the team meetings? Why would we didn't have any player-only meetings to turn this stuff around? We had guys in the locker room getting mad, but there was no team meetings where they had only players-only meetings to turn the stuff around. That didn't exist because they were totally comfortable with it going to where it was and being a 7-win team while they making excuses why they sinking. We talked about all that. So, that's what I was saying, man. Last year, you would think that a veteran-led team, when you have DeMario and Cam Jordan, they would stop that from happening and bring the team's perspective to the head coaches. None of that should happen. None of that happened. They just went down together. A team that plays together stays together. And unfortunately, they all stayed in the ship and it sank to the bottom of the damn ocean. So, listen, all I can say in the end is that we should be able to beat the Falcons moving forward. I really do think that. I think that we should be able to beat the Falcons in the next matchup. And then don't ask me about the Detroit Lion game. That's a whole nother kettle of fish. All that, but I think we got enough to be able to beat the Falcons because, listen, even though we talk about the Falcons got issues too. You know what I'm saying? And then the big issue is this guy. This is a big issue with him. And I had the previous stream when I asked the questions in the Saints and Falcons stream. Who would you rather have? Either Dennis Allen or you can't say none. You got to pick between two. Who would you rather have? Would you rather have Dennis Allen or would you have this guy, Arthur Smith, on top of the team? Well, and I was like, between the two, I chose Dennis Allen. You're like, why? Because Dennis Allen is actually good at what he does as a defensive coordinator. He would bring you a solid defense the majority of the time. This guy right here with offense, not even close. He's unimaginative. He's stubborn. He has a very good, he got a very good group of skill set players that will never reach their potential under him because he doesn't have the imagination to utilize them. He's the main reason why the Falcons are going to lose the game to the Saints because he doesn't know how to get Kyle Pitts involved. He doesn't know how to use Bijan Robinson in his full capacity. You got Drake London and all these fantastic players that they have accumulated under Brother Fontenot over there, the former. So you got Fontenot. He was able to raise and bring the Falcons team up by another slick Saint, former a Saint personnel person that's helping the Falcons turn the sour luck around. Because it's going to take a black and gold guy to fix the black and red guy, right? So we had to go there. He went there and had to turn some stuff around. He drafted some really good players to help build that team up. But unfortunately, this guy was a curious call from him. And I'm thinking this was more of Count Blank, who was the owner of the team, than it was Brother Fontenot, who picked his guy, because this don't make any sense. And then you find out that Count Blank, I think he used to be, and this shout out to Lowell for telling me this is something that Coach Ronan found out. Shout out to Coach Ronan and them and the team over there, that they found out that Count Blank was on the board of directors for FedEx, who his father, Coach Smith's father runs. So this is a trust baby right here. This dude's super rich, playing as a head coach in the NFL. And Blank, you don't think Blank used that circle to get him in as the head coach? Because that don't make the Fontenot connection. He could have got a lot slicker coach than this, and we appreciate him doing this because he's helping us to stay to beat him. But the main reason I believe that Falcons going to lose is because this gentleman. And if you don't believe me, listen to what he said and the energy in which he feels about the New Orleans Saints. Put one in the chat if y'all can hear this.
Fortunate, football. So you talk a lot about in the preseason, and you're not just using coaching cliches. Like, you need depth, you got to develop, you got to build it. Nobody wants to see it. People that are injured, but unfortunately, that's what it happens in the NFL, and every team's got to deal with something, right? So they got a good staff, good team. I'm sure that they had 2 weeks to prepare, just like we have, and so I'm sure there'll be a couple new wrinkles, and we got to be ready to go because it's a huge game for us. Where we're at, right? Well, going into the final stretch of the season with everything to play for, division rival, be an awesome atmosphere. So we're excited to be a part of it.
Is it just counting on people doing more or people doing better?
Both. But that's something you look at. You need to be doing all the time. Obviously, it becomes more glaring when you don't get the results that you look for. And I've said it a bunch. Getting some of these close games, say you make the play at the end, but if you don't go in there and fix some things, what will always happen in this league, it's why it's the greatest league in pro sports is, it may on the outside look like, hey, everything's good, everybody feels good because you won, but you may have a glaring issue, it's going to get exposed. And if you're not objective about that and you're not constantly looking to improve, starting with yourself first, it'll catch you. So you can't cheat the game. And that's what happens through a 17-game season. It's as you go through your ups and downs. We've certainly.
Wow. This guy. Dude. That's the head coach over there. Yeah, that dude sounds worse than Dennis Allen. I mean, that's not even sellable, man. Nah, Smith's a big part of it, bro. Because, the Saints, listen, bro. With that type of energy coming into the game, man, he sounds defeated before the game even started, man. My goodness. Man, dude, did you hear that guy? That guy, dude, that was absolutely awful, man. That was not a very. I could not. I would not be listening to him at press conferences. I'm gonna just tell you the truth. Because if that's what you got in one of the most heated rivalries between two teams, this is the biggest game. If you're an Atlanta Falcon person, a New Orleans Saints person, when the Saints and Falcons meet, and it has stakes to it. Right now, the Saints are on top of the NFC South at 5-5. The Falcons are a game underneath them. Whoever wins this game could take possession, or even Atlanta could flip flop with Saints. And actually, Saints lose, they could slide underneath both those teams, Atlanta, and depending on what happens with Tampa. But the Saints win, they kind of push Atlanta down a little bit and get a little distance depending on what happens with Tampa Bay. It's a difference. But if Tampa and Atlanta loses, the Saints have some room before they see Detroit the following week. But my goodness, man, yeah, that is his system, man. But really, what Arthur Smith is he's an old school thinking coach. He's a power. He's a run the ball, play defense style coach. He's like concept similar, not exactly what it is, but mindset similar to a degree to a Bill Cowher type, where they want to run the football, use a game manager at the top of the quarterback position and the defense. That's why they put all that money into the defense, so that the defense gets, plays hard and slows you down, and they play more of a game management style, and they beat you to death with both Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algieri. But the truth of the matter is the team is way more talented than that boring philosophy. I mean, you have Kyle Pitts, you have Drake London, you have phenomenal talent that you can get involved. And if you can do it right, you can be able to compete with some of the top teams in the NFL. So that's what I'm saying. Ryan Nielsen, we know Ryan Nielsen. We know what we know about. We taught Ryan Nielsen. We know what he's going to do. We've got the game plan on Ryan Nielsen, and I guess to a degree he could say that about the Saints. So I guess it's kind of a wash, depending on. That's why I'm not anticipating a big game. But a lot of mistakes are going to happen in this game. They're going to have turnovers all over the place. Saints going to turn the ball over. You're going to see Atlanta, who currently are on the 3-game losing streak. And it's not because they're garbage. It's because they don't know how to finish these games. They'll lose all of their losses with less than 7 points. They had a couple of 3-point losses, but they were competitive in these games. They just couldn't finish the game correctly. But in the end, what I'm saying is the Saints gonna have enough to beat Atlanta. They don't need a lot, but they're gonna. No disrespect, Atlanta supporters, but I just think that at the end of the day, I think we will beat this team. It won't be by much, but we will beat this team, and then we'll get plastered by Detroit on the following week. To keep it real. All right, Paul says, why this fool Carr just can't stay hurt and miss games? Nah, he got $150 million. Then people would then say you got $150 million quarterback that refused to play. So you can spin that thing both ways, you see. Painful Truth says no difference between him and DA. They both really depressing sounding people. All right, got one says Carr keep coming back. He hurt. He is hurt, bro. That's the big part of the game. It's like, he's been banged up this entire season. And a lot of it's because to a degree is Carr has, like the Green Bay game when he got slammed on the ground really hard. Carr held the ball too long. He got to protect himself. When you see something, make a choice. He's just so indecisive. And people start calling him out for that. So what he started to do is, instead of going through his progressions properly, he just ultimately goes to the check down. So he's been throwing the check down a lot lately, as opposed to, standing there scanning and going to the guy. He just goes, looks, and then throws the check down. That's his adjustment there, because people have been on him saying, man, you holding the ball too long, bro. You got to get it out of there. So he just he'll look up and then just checks it down to AK-41, and there's guys running up the field. That was the frustration angle. People were upset because these guys are running full speed down the field and they never get the option to get the ball because he's not looking. So, I mean, it's just, that would frustrate me or you if we were playing wide receiver. I would be really frustrated. And I would tell them, hey, bro, listen, you need to start looking around, bro. We got people running down the field, start throwing, even if it's not me. Look at some of these people. We getting open here. Find us. Don Duck says this cat even more disconnected than DA. Yeah, you heard that, man. I'm not going to play that again. That just sapped all of the whatever energy that people had. Now they can go to sleep happy now because he done took it from them. Dwayne said, I'm a Saints fan, but I'm realistic. Dude, you're showing bias because this guy is exactly like Dennis Allen. No, it's not bias, bro. What I'm saying is Dennis Allen's, when you talk about coaches, it's not a bias. It's really, I'm calling it down the line. You know, I'm telling you that his play style is, and like I said, you look at how they've been playing. Go look at some of the film, how they've been playing. Dennis Allen is a better defensive coordinator than Arthur Smith is an offensive coordinator. We can agree upon that. He's a better defensive guy. He doesn't get in the way of the offense. He lets them flow, and that's the problem to a degree, that Dennis Allen doesn't get over there and makes the changes. He allows them total autonomy to a fault. And then Mickey Loomis, who's the GM, does the same thing with him. So it's not like he's getting in the way of stopping the offense. The offense is stopping itself because of poor leadership at the top, right? So Arthur Smith's a whole nother different cat. He's stubborn. He's hands-on. He refuses to relinquish the play calling sheet, even though he knows he stinks. And Lowe told me the guy behind him that he picked to be the OC is not very good at play calling either. So, I mean, having play calling, so that's pretty damn convenient. But at the end, is what I'm saying is I'm not being biased toward one side or the other. I'm telling it like it is. It is what it is, man. That's what I see. All right. Like one says, look at what we getting below. I don't see that. Who that says, I don't know what to think of this game tomorrow. Rush Hour says, Carr got that stare in his eye like no confidence. Shrine says, what's up? How you doing, brother? Good to see you in the chat. Kai says it's going to be a close game as always. We play the Falcons. If the D-line can man up and stop the run, our play calling's on point. Our offense, we've got a chance to come out with a dub. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, both of these teams have issues and problems. But like I'm talking about, when you talk about teams that are playing up and down, the Saints are playing up and down. Atlanta is on the 3-game slide. Now, that's not saying they can't break it, but I'm saying the behavior of the Saints is that they're an up and down damn team. They go up and then they come down. They go up and they come down. They had the victories, and prior to the Minnesota game, they stunk and they bottomed out against the Vikings. You think they bottom out against the Falcons? They're going to beat the Falcons and bottom out against the Lions. It's up and down. That's how Dennis Allen is. That they just taking on his mentality. Doctor says Falcons rise up. We want all the smoke tomorrow. Yeah, it's going to be a good game, man. They got our old players, right? You know, and it's just also, I'd like to point that out to the Falcon people. It's like, we know their personnel. Like, some of the guys that we let go, we let those guys go. We could have afforded to keep them if we really wanted them. We let those guys go on their own. So it's not like we know their personnel. We know the mindset of the defense. Like, I guess you could say they know our offense to a degree. But like I said, when we count on, we as a team, there's still a lot of stuff that we got going on that we can do. And we can say the same about them. But in the end, I think we do what we need to do to beat this team, man. And then they get plastered by the Lions at the other end. That's how I see it, man. So anyway, all right, Dwayne. What's up, Dwayne? Said, I don't trust the Saints. They can't stop the mobile quarterback threat. Yeah, this is true, bro. This is true. We'll see how it all ends, my friends. We'll see how it ends tomorrow, man. But it's going to be fun. But anyway, a few more questions in the chat before we get on up out of here, man. It's just strange, man. But the keys to victory, we kind of went over it a little bit in the game, in the preview a couple of days ago. Keys to victory for the Saints. Do I need to say no turnovers? Can I really say that we need to not keep the penalties down? Because I know the Saints, they're undisciplined. They're going to go in there and get false starts and stuff like that. It's just what they do. That's what most undisciplined teams do. So we know if we can just keep that down to a degree. They said, and we're going to see if it's true, that the week they sat on their asses or the week that they were off, that they had an opportunity to go over plays, to go over the tape and find out exactly what the problem was in terms of, who was making whatever mistakes and whatever they need to do to win. And they've been having good practices over that time frame. We'll see. And I know a lot of people say, Q, they say that a lot. We'll see what they got going on here, because can they go back? Because usually after a depressing game, the Saints will come back to some stuff that works. They'll do that after a loss. They'll go back to some stuff that works. And then after they win, the next game, they'll go back to what didn't work. That's their MO for what they've been doing this season. And I don't expect them to change that at all. I expect them to do this type of inconsistent up and down bull crap because that's what they are. That's what they do. So that's why I'm looking at it and I'm saying, man, they're going to beat this team. And then ultimately what they're going to end up doing on the back end against Detroit is going to be a whole nother thing. All right. So anyway, outside of that, that's one of the things we're looking at. And then rely on a running attack. We need to run the football. We need to get back to running the ball. We need to run the ball. We need to run the ball to establish the play action. And also the implementation of Taysom Hill, because I don't think the Falcons can stop Taysom Hill. I don't think the Falcons can stop AK-41. We need to get them going in the game. We need to mix in some Jamal in there. We need to really get that game, that aspect of the game going. And we need to kind of minimize what we do with Derek Carr. If the Saints can keep him within the realm of 25 to 30 attempts, throwing attempts per contest, I'd be cool around topping out at 28 attempts in the matchup and kind of have more of a run game versus passing game, because anything else is not going to be a win. We can't have Carr to come in banged up, still having issues with throwing the ball and being shot up with painkiller, because that's what's going to happen, for him to be trying to throw the Saints to a win. If we having 35 plus attempts in the game, it's going to be a loss. Carr can't throw you to a win. You're going to have to use the running attack. So the Saints going to have to reestablish themselves running the ball. And I have way more confidence in the Saints establishing the run than I do with them establishing the pass. This is just to keep it real. That's to keep it real. Then, like, I ain't gonna keep saying the same shit about Carr not understanding or knowing this type of stuff. But the key to victory for the Saints is they have to establish the run, minimize what they do with Carr in terms of throwing the ball, and even if that includes bringing Taysom Hill in to run his RPO packages. And remember, Taysom did throw a touchdown, and getting him going to help out, that would be really nice too. Even throw Jameis Winston the ball, come in with a few plays where Jameis goes in there and throw the ball. That would be pretty cool too, to kind of mix it up and get guys involved. Michael Thomas is out. That's a big missing point for us, but I think we can be all right to a degree missing him. Jimmy Graham needs to be some kind of way added into this game plan against Atlanta. He would have helped the Saints in the matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. So we need to get Jimmy Graham in the game. With Michael Thomas on the IR, Jimmy Graham needs to be active and playing in this matchup against the Falcons. So I don't have any confidence in the Saints utilizing the fullback. I still think that if they're going to run the ball, they're going to run it without a fullback. They're going to use what I call running it naked, where you just have Elvin Kamara running into the teeth of the defense, or Jamal Williams running into the teeth of the defense, which is stupid. If you got a fullback there, use the fullback to punch the teeth out and let Kamara follow him in there. You know, they got the guy is healthy right now. So that's the thing. And on the defensive side, the defense, in terms of them slowing down and stopping Desmond Ridder from scrambling and moving around in the pocket, let me just say this. What the Saints were able to do in the second half of the Minnesota Vikings game, were able to find the key in whatever heart and whatever courage that they have, or heart or intensity that they had in the game, to ultimately shut what the Steelers was doing down, not the Steelers, the Vikings were doing down in the second half of the game. They basically shut them down, and all they did was kick the field goal in the game for the rest of that Minnesota Viking game. So a light went on, but it's still a question of what Saint defense makes an appearance against the Falcons. Hopefully an inspired one that played like they played in the second half of the Vikings game, where they were able to get pressure to the quarterback, sack him a couple of times. They were able to affect change defensively, and they showed them some different looks that made them uncomfortable. The Saints will have to bring that type of focus there. How does it change? Well, JPP is activated. There was a report, we covered it earlier in the show, that JPP is activated. How does he help? As a situational guy to come in there off the bench, JPP can help the Saints. You can move him around on the line, and JPP will definitely help the Saints in this game. Would he get a sack? Would I go as far as him getting a sack? I think it's possible that he can get in there and get a sack. I don't think that's beyond the realm of thinking that he can get in there and be a sack. He's not going to start. We know it's Granderson and Cam, but JPP comes in there. I think he can get a sack in the game, but he definitely helps out the pressure. There's no doubt about that in my mind. So could that be a point of emphasis as well? Because good questions were asked to JPP about dealing with mobile quarterbacks. JP said, I didn't dealing with mobile quarterbacks my whole career. We're good at chasing them down. We played a portion of the interview on the early show about JPP when we covered that. So the Saints knew that would he be a part of the question about us slowing down the mobile QB threat, JPP? Only time will tell, but he definitely helps on getting to them quarterbacks. He definitely adds another athletic component, even though he's 34 years of age. He still can come in there and help in a reserve role. Let's just put it like that. So we can't overlook that little change too, because that personnel move was a pretty decent one if you think about it. So outside of that, we'll be down missing Lattimore. We're gonna need some other guys to step up. Adebo and Alante Taylor. We're gonna need the nickel guy. Was probably be our guy. What's his name? Isaac Yidam, could be Yidam, that steps up there in that position. Or I know it ain't gonna be Cam Dantzler. It'd probably be Isaac Yidam that'll play that more of that nickel position. We'll see what it is, but our guys need to step up, and we need the defensive line to get the good pressure. You know what I'm saying? The good pressure going on up there to knock around the Atlanta Falcons, and we need to do what we do, man. We really need that. So we'll see. A big X factor is to see how JPP is utilized from the Saints defense. They activate him. Like I said, they activated him today, so he'll be good to play in this game. And he should be able to chase guys around and do it. And like I said, he's not, the prime version of JPP, but he definitely still helps the Saints defense. So that's a few things right there, man, that we need to do in terms of our offense and our defense. And of course, special teams man, we just need to make sure when we do get in a field goal range that we knock our kicks down, because we know if Young Hoku's in there, he's going to knock his down. We got to be able to score more than them, and do a better job of clock managing, take advantage of the turnovers, because they're going to give us a few turnovers in these games. It's going to be either a fumble and a pick or both. They're going to give us some turnovers in this game that we have to capitalize off. And hopefully the Saints, when the offense gets stuck in the mud, because it will happen, that they remember to jump into the 2-minute offense to kind of spur it going. They figured a lot of this stuff out in previous games, but they just forget to do it, which is really annoying. They already covered this stuff and they forget to do. Like I said, it's like amnesia. Every game they forget what to do. This game, after that humiliating loss to the Vikings, they should beat the Falcons, not by much, by about 3 points or something, 20-17 or something like that. I'm not expecting them to blow them out, but I do expect things to happen. All right. So anyway, what's up, DeRight? Shout out to you. Good to see y'all in the chat. Much love, fam. Y'all hit the like button for me, man, on this one. That's my call on it, man, and I think we'll be all right. Dwayne says Riddle will probably have 100 yards he can throw, but of course DA is not going to attack. Well, we'll see, bro. He hadn't done much of that now, but he definitely needs to ratchet up the pressure. A lot of people have been on him about turning up the pressure, him getting JPP here. Do you think that he'll stay the same even if you got JPP in there? JPP is here for turning up the pressure, so we'll see how it all ends at the end of the day, man. Tomorrow be the game, man. 12 o'clock kickoff time. We'll cover it here. I think the show's already set up already, man. So we'll get the rolling in this thing. So anyway, with that being said, we're gonna get ready to check out on that. Listen, I appreciate the family members chiming in on the Saturday night episode of the Coma, man. We talking Saints here. Gonna move on to Pelican broadcast for later on today. We'll open up the phone lines. Pelicans take on the Utah Jazz. Zion Williamson will be inactive. He's not playing, and that's not his call. That is the David Griffin, who's the vice president of basketball operations. I guarantee you that is his call, that he doesn't want Zion to play in back-to-back games. The Pelicans won Friday, so hence they got a Saturday game. He will not play in the matchup against Utah on Saturday. So the Pelicans do have enough firepower to be able to beat Utah. The big issue outside of that is, how do they deal with the altitude going up to Utah after leaving LA? Did you have an opportunity to kind of practice in it? Because that's a big point of emphasis with playing in Utah. That's how Utah are able to take advantage of a lot of these teams at altitude. So we'll see how they handle that. All right. So anyway, with that being said, let me get out of here. I appreciate the family members for chiming on this episode of the show. Y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and feel free to check out the show's links in the description section below. Check out the community section, man. We got sales going on right now in the pro shop. All the merch that you can ever want, from the Fire DH shows to the Fire DH shirts to the No Excuses shirts. The NO Excuses shirts are available on the pro shop right now. You can get a special, I guess it's an internet special going on with Black Friday to Monday with the specials on there. Some of them up to 30 to 40% off on shirts. Right now really is a good time to help out the platform and get a really good deal at the pro shop. Link is in the community section. There's also a link in the description section below. Y'all check that out. All right. So with that being said, I'm gonna get out on that. I'm gonna see y'all on the next one. That'll be tomorrow at 11:40. We'll do the Play-by-play will start it with the pregame, then the actual game with the play-by-play into the postgame tomorrow. Much love to fam. Who that to you?
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, fucking like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this, and I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
WhoThatDaily.com. That's right, the WhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who Dat and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. The WhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who Dat in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember,